Oh, you know what I love?
Sports.
Love sports.
Sports.
When it comes to Texas A&M,
Where are you getting this information?
Let me tell you.
Welcome to TexAgs.
I need to talk a little sports with you, Ags. David Nuño here with TexAgs Radio. Billy Lucci here on TexAgs Radio. Olin Buchanan. Holy smokes, he made that catch. I was like, we're going to go win this freaking game.
The best way for us to win is to do it together.
Do you realize everybody knows who you are right now?
I think we're coming into this year with a new confidence.
Schools are like, we're freaking Texas A&M, man. Like,
that's about as pretty a throw-catch combo as there is.
I saw the safety roll, the slot fade. I knew where I needed to put the ball.
You had no other option but one hand at that point.
Yeah, man, 50-50 ball, I got to come down with it.
You know, if I'm betting on anybody, it's the Aggies.
It is Pass It Back Day here on Tuesday, November the 14th. TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Appreciate everybody listening. We'll be talking about the Association of Former Students on this annual day, the 8th annual Pass It Back Day. Special day set aside to show the power of that Aggie network. 2023 goal of gifts from 2,800 donors. Why give? Well, it helps out in so many different areas, helps connect former students all over the world by supporting A&M clubs, constituent networks, classes, and traveling Aggies. To get involved right now, go to tx.ag/passitback, the main Pass Back Day page. All right, let's get into it as my voice is starting to fail me right now. It is the Go Hour presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. Got Olin Buchanan with us here this morning. OB, I'm just going to give you a little breakdown of what we have on the show.
All right.
Shireen Williams, 8:35. Jamie McCoy. KBTX folks are coming in. We've got Jordan Pugh coming in. Josh Pate coming in. I might even text Billy to see if he's got a few minutes at some point during the show to join us as well. So a lot of stuff, going on the program. I think I got to drink some water, buddy. How are you?
I'm good. I am good. I kind of like Billy, not to the extreme of Billy, but I've even been getting all kinds of calls. And people, everybody wants to talk about Texas A&M across the country right now, and everybody is wondering about, why, and why now, and what about the money, and who they're going to go after next.
Isn't it interesting, though? And I don't mean.
And everybody likes to laugh at A&M right now.
Yeah, but they've been doing that for a little while.
Yeah, but especially now.
It's interesting. The people, I feel like a lot of people are like, you got to get rid of Jimbo. A lot of those are now like, but why are you doing it now? You just won by 30.
Yeah.
You like that voice?
Not really, no.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
Would you like me to? I don't know. It's like kind of like is it Shaggy mixed in with somebody else?
I think that was
a little bit.
Yeah, kind of.
Or it's more Scooby?
Maybe. But I think, we all know that the decision was made after the Ole Miss loss.
Yep.
It just took some time to get the meetings in place, the protocol, right? And then after the protocol was everything was taken care of with meetings through with the president and the chancellor and then the regents. Well, of course, there's no reason to announce it on a Thursday night when your kids are playing a game in 2 days.
Right.
So, when it's broken down, it makes perfect sense. So, would anybody have been surprised because there's some surprise that Jimbo was fired after the Mississippi State game. Would anybody have been surprised had he been fired after the Ole Miss game?
No.
Especially the way they lost it, starting slow but coming back, taking the lead, losing the lead, having a chance to win or tie, and once again not being able to execute it.
Yeah.
So that wouldn't have been, so nobody would have reacted to that. But if you need to wait to talk to regents, and by the way, they're going to be in town on Thursday and all those things. So then anyone that's, I don't know if upset's the word, but curious about, well, why then? I just think they don't understand or they haven't read yet how the chain of events occurred.
The interesting part, like for me, was that I did believe that he was going to get it turned around. I think many of us did. Not only did we want to believe it. Now, did I have some doubts? 100%. Of course you have doubts. I think you have doubts when you're an Aggie because you've seen the song and dance before. You've seen many people fail, which is part of our theme today to talk about, like, why has A&M not lived up to expectations? Love to get everybody's thoughts on that. 979-693-1150, 979-693-1150. You can text us or join us on the Brian Foley Law Hotline. But, like, to me, like, I thought it should work.
Oh,
right? Not only should it work, I compared this, like, I find Jimbo to be a far superior coach than some others that have won. And Jimbo's already won, by the way, duh. But, like, I think he's a better coach than Ed O. Ed O had one of the most magical seasons ever, the best season ever by some accounts. I thought that the amount of talent he was putting together, had he just fixed the offense, and that's where I was wrong. It wasn't just the offense still needs to be fixed, but it wasn't just the offense. There were several other areas that I think I allowed to not be as big of a deal in my evaluation that became big deals.
Well, here's the deal. I would look at it, and it was like you'd look at everything that you had in terms of talent, and then you'd say, okay, you're going to tell me that 10 and 10 and 10 and 10 and 10, that should equal 50. But for some reason, it kept equaling 40. And I keep going back and say, no, that should be 50. That should be 50. You know, right. There's 10 times 5 should be 50. And it just wasn't adding up what was going on. But then you start thinking about it and you say, what are the symptoms of a poorly coached team?
Yeah.
And you say close losses are a symptom of a poorly coached team. Wins and loss, close games are won and loss on the sidelines. Disorganization.
Yep.
Is a symptom, right? How many times we've seen them having to call this time out or whatever, guys. Bad special teams to me. I can remember when John Blake was the coach at Oklahoma, and their special teams were atrocious, always making mistakes. And they had a terrible team. They hired Bob Stoops, and 2 years later, they're the national champs.
Yep.
Because you just got competent guys in there and said, oh, yeah, they had great talent. Now let's organize it and get the most of it. So I could go down the list of things that are symptoms to a poorly coached team. And quite frankly, the turnover margin, A&M doesn't get them. They would commit them. So you could say, well, why doesn't that add up? And then the subtraction was always, because you look at the talent and everything, but you always had to put that minus 10 for a poorly coached team.
The last time a coach really worked, right? Not 1 year, 2 year, really worked. RC?
Yeah.
Okay.
And well, my take on that was, now RC needed to
evolve.
Well, yeah, he needed to get a really good offense coordinator. He tried to.
Yep.
But he also, he tried to, and Dino Babers didn't work out. Now, you know who looked like he might have saved him as an offensive coordinator had they not fired RC?
Who's that? Kevin?
Kevin Sumlin. Yeah. And that's what I worry about, because I hear they're saying now that there's just going to be a committee to hire the new coach, and even a faculty this now. Like, the first time you start getting people that don't know football involved, that's when things will really spiral out of control. And that's what happened when they fired RC. They had the president who doesn't follow football, and he said, well, I'm going to fire him. And, well,
I think it includes some former players.
I don't have an issue with, if you're the athletic director, that should be his call, consulting other people. But when you start saying, hey, we're going to have this committee, and then the faculty people are going to be involved and all that, I'm like, is this bells and whistles just to make everybody feel included?
If they want, honestly, we can interview all the candidates on this show, and we can find the right coach, right? You guys tell me the budget. You tell me what we're willing to do. TexAgs Radio can get to the bottom of this, and I think we can figure out who the best coach is going to be.
I think you could do that. Anybody that actually follows it. But what I would do, though, if I was Ross Bjork, I'm going to tell you right now, if I'd just say I got 4 or 5 really good candidates. All right, maybe landing one. He's out. Okay, now I'm down to my next candidate. All right, maybe it's Elko. Maybe you don't want to call. Okay, he's out. And then I get to my next really good candidate. I have 3 guys that I want, and I can't get that guy for whatever reason. You know what I'm going to do? Instead of going out and hiring somebody that, okay, I'm going to say, if that's the situation, let's roll with Elijah Robinson, and why not?
I don't hate that. I don't hate it at all. I want to go through the process. I want to see who's interested.
Right.
I want to see what it's going to cost Texas A&M.
But if I'm going to take a chance on somebody, like some people say Jeff Traylor.
Right.
Okay. And I wouldn't, if they hired Jeff Traylor, okay, I'm not going to be angry about it. But if it came down there where I'm going to take a chance on, why don't I take a chance on the guy I have? Because I think, and I don't mean to act like Elijah would be a figurehead. I don't mean that. But this is how it's going to come off. But I think Ed Orgeron was great for LSU when he had good coordinators,
yep.
when he could motivate, help with the game plan, recruit, answer questions, represent the program,
right,
and let good coordinators do their job. And if you do that, organize so you don't have all the problems with special teams. But if you do that and delegate, and a lot of coaches have done that. Mac Brown did that, won a national championship. Of course, they had Vince Young to help him, but then you can be successful as a head coach.
Yeah. What you want to have is somebody who inspires young men who they want to play for, organize, and let those coordinators cook. Let them be what they are.
Yeah.
We got a caller. Let's go to the Brian Foley Law hotline. Jeff joining us here on TexAgs Radio. Jeff, good morning, buddy. It's going well.
Hey, good morning. How are y'all?
Hey, buddy. What's up?
Hey, wanted to talk about stability. So 40 years ago, I was a freshman at A&M, and our head football coach was our athletic director, Jackie Sherrill. And we had a constant defensive mindset, and we had a few offensive coordinators, but we were stable in A&M. And then when our RC took over, obviously our defense was stable. We had a lot of offensive coordinators. And then we won our last championship in 98, and we've had, 6 or 7 athletic directors and now 6 head football coaches. We have to establish some sort of stability at A&M to be successful, because every 4 years, every 5 years, we're changing mentality, we're changing our structure, and it's not stable. We just have to be stable. My life is helping companies be stable, and I watch this A&M program, and it's just mind-numbing how much we want to win. Yes,
Jeff, I think stability from the football, 6 years in the football world is a long time, and Kevin was 6 years as well.
And I think Francione was around 6 years.
And Sherman was 3 or 4?
3 or 4.
Yeah.
So while I fundamentally agree with what you're saying, I don't think stability is the issue.
Maybe it's stability up top.
Maybe. I don't think what you do, though, is because there's been more changes with the athletic director.
Yep.
Just since I've been back here, they've had 3.
And presidents of this university.
Right. So, but I will say this. I think stability is great when you're successful. But if you're not being successful, there's no reason to just, stick with the status quo if you're not being successful. So fundamentally, I agree with you. And I think that Kevin Sumlin and Dennis Francione and Jimbo Fisher were all given fair amount of times to put together a championship caliber program and did not.
Yeah. Well, and one other thing that all good programs like Mac Brown, he only won 2 championships at Texas, and he had quarterbacks. He had Vince Young and he had Colt McCoy. Kevin Murray was our quarterback when I was in school, and we won 2 conference championships. And then RC had good quarterbacks that didn't lose the game, and he had great running backs they could hand the ball off to.
Yeah, I think Jimbo made some. I think Jimbo made some poor choices in evaluating quarterbacks in recruiting. I certainly agree with that.
But if Wegman had not got hurt, and I know we all say this, we're not talking about Jimbo being terminated today.
Well, that's very possible.
Very possible.
Very possible.
But my concern with that is, does it take this incredible diamond-in-the-rough quarterback to save a regime?
sometimes, but then the argument, the counterpoint to that is, but why didn't you expect him to get hurt? Because quarterbacks at A&M under this blocking scheme and everything get hurt.
Get hurt. You're exactly right.
Well, shoot, Kevin Murray was hurt. We have a long tradition of quarterbacks being hurt at A&M.
Yeah, but that South getting hurt and losing your quarterback when you're in the Southwest Conference could have been a lot more forgiving than when you're in the Southeast Conference.
Hey, Jeff, appreciate your call, man. Thank you very much.
Hey, thank you.
I hate when I cut him off as they're saying thank you.
Saying that,
But thank you, Jeff.
I feel for guys like him. You know what? Really, well, I'll talk about this later. I know we're going to have to get to commercials and things like that. Okay. I remember going. Were they doing the Belushi Hour at the Tap before you got here? I mean, after you got here.
Yeah, I think the second time I was here.
Okay, so they
not the first time,
right? So they used to have lunch, right? And I'd go out there every so often because a lot of times I want to hear what Billy's say because I need to know what was going on too. Yeah. And there was this front table of about 15 to 20 older gentlemen that have been following A&M for their whole lives. I mean, some of these guys were, had been here in the 50s, right? And I can remember talking to a couple of them one time and said, I've always just wanted to see them win the championship in my lifetime. And, I'm running out of time. And I think about those guys like that who have given so much. And I'm talking about emotionally and financially. And for them to be let down by this program so often, just, I just feel for all those people like that have given so much and have gotten so little back.
Hey, I want to say something that has nothing to do with what we're talking about. It just kind of caught my attention. I've seen a lot of people tweeting, and I'm taking it as subliminal shots at the way TexAgs reported the news. Like, players found out on social media, and like people in the media kind of tweeting and, they found out before it happened. Let me just tell you, don't be nice to us when you see us at press conferences then. Like, if you want to take these shots, just keep talking, and we're making notes. How about a tip of the cap? Like, hey, good reporting. When Brent broke the story about Texas and OU going to the SEC, props. He was given props by us, right? Great job. But these little, they may not seem like you word it in a way that you don't think we take notice, because I know you're listening. We notice it all.
Fans are gonna fan.
I'm not even talking about fans. I'm talking about media.
Oh, media?
Yeah.
Are they really media though?
I mean, some of them act like they are.
I mean, I didn't see it, right? So, I would be credulous if anybody who is legitimate media would have an issue with reporting a fact, reporting a story when you know it to be true.
And you got any problems, my phone's always open, and it's not a physical thing. We can talk. I'm actually nice. I'm not going to fight people because they don't like the way we do our work, but I will have a conversation with you. I'm very proud to work for this company, proud the way Billy is the top journalist. I'd say the top journalist in the SEC, the way he gets his information, how close he is. So thank you. And no, Matthew, we're not going to get Bill Belichick at Texas A&M. Let's hit a break. OB, when's the last time you had a fantastic lunch?
Fantastic.
Well, I'm talking about oh my God, and the food just didn't stop. And you're like, this tastes.
Well, I can remember a really fantastic lunch where the food literally did not stop.
Yeah, and it was almost like, I think I've had enough, sir. And nope, here's another plate.
Yeah, that was when we went to Fargo's, I think the day before the Arkansas game.
That is correct.
Or 2 days before.
2 days before. Yeah.
And we had the pork chops, and then.
I mean, they were like this.
Yeah, they were big, two big ones. And, of course, we had macaroni and cheese. And I think I had green beans with them, with a big glass of lemonade.
I had baked beans.
Yeah, you probably did.
I think I did.
And then I think Belinda or Alan, one of them, brought over and said, hey, here's a sample of everything we've got.
And this was after we had eaten.
Right, I know. And I was already full. But
I was like, but I have to try it.
Yeah, and then I was like, well, this is good. So I started eating for recreation, and then I started eating just because I'm disgusting that way.
But I was disgusting too. And
I was like the guy on Man versus Food. Food won.
Food won.
But I was the real winner. You know why? because I was eating that Fargo's cuisine.
My plan was to have just one bite of everything, and then one bite became 2.
Yeah.
And then it became 3. And then I was so stuffed, I'm like, oh, I got to drive like this?
Yeah. I really like pork ribs. They had
me
pork
too.
ribs. I really like the chopped beef. They had chopped beef.
It is Fargo's, 1701 South Texas Avenue in Bryan. Without a doubt, the what?
The best barbecue in Texas, which means you're the best in the world.
Yeah, and it happens to be their trademark.
Well, because it happens to be true.
Well, it's Fargo's. It is TexAgs Radio. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Appreciate everybody listening in this morning. Go Hour presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. I want to mention a couple things. First off, YouTube. Hello, people. Numbers have been great this week. Hopefully you guys are subscribing to the channel. I don't care who you listen to. If you're an Ole Miss guy, a Texas person, whatever. We got great content on this. Also, take advantage of the TexAgs Coaching Search subscription special this week only. Visit TexAgs.com, and you'll get all the information there. But you can get a discount. Jump on it. This week only, subscription special here on TexAgs Radio. OB, a couple different things I want to get into this segment. Obviously, by the way, it's Pass It Back Day. We will be talking to our friends at the Association of Former Students here in a moment. Before we get into some of, I'm going to just say it. My opinion going into the LSU game now is higher than it was when Jimbo was the head coach. That sounds like a shot at Jimbo. It's not necessarily. It can be. The reason it's higher is because all these games are close, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're a play or two away.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody else pushing the buttons, maybe you make the right play. All these games that have come down to the wire that have gone the opposite way, if you keep it close. Don't get me wrong, I'm still very worried about Jaden Daniels on that secondary. I'm very.
As well as you should be.
Right? I also know that the defense isn't that good.
No, the defense isn't.
And if it's Max or if it's Jalen, whoever it is, like Bobby Petrino's not going to cook, hopefully. I feel a little different.
Well, yeah, I understand that. Look, I think not this week against Abilene Christian, of course, but in that game and the bowl game as well, I think we're going to get a pretty good idea of how much control of the offense Jimbo did or did not give Bobby Petrino.
Yeah.
If it looks considerably different, then we'll know that Jimbo was not giving him a lot of control. And if it looks a lot different, and like you just said, almost everybody scores a lot of points on LSU.
Yep.
So you will have a chance theoretically to win for the first time in Baton Rouge since 1994 with Bobby, I think, running things because he has a history of being really successful offensively, whereas we've had a recent history with Jimbo Fisher of A&M actually struggling offensively. In fact, if you'll think about it, with the exception of just a couple of games, even that 2020 year when they went 9-1, a lot of games they just underachieved offensively.
Yeah. Juan says, y'all are just a bunch of clowns now, talking about how the head coaching Jimbo was doing, but no one had the words to say it while he was coaching.
Really, I think we said it.
Look, we were never mean. But you have to understand.
Wasn't there a time I got so frustrated that I was pounding on the desk? I know this because Lucci said, "Hey, dude, you don't need to pound the desk."
Look, I liked Jimbo Fisher. I did.
Yeah, he's a nice guy.
I wanted it to work.
Person.
If you haven't watched one of my post-game raps ever, and you think that I was okay with everything, then you have a listening comprehension issue.
Yeah,
Juan. Anyway.
I'm not going to say what's on my mind.
When's the last time somebody called you a clown in your face? Outside of your wife?
No, I mean, I don't think to be honest, I don't think it's ever happened.
Yeah.
I don't think it's ever happened. To my face, no, I don't think so.
Look, I get it. Like, we're all passionate about this and whatnot. And Juan's probably speaks to, like a lot of people were frustrated. I get it. I was frustrated too. I didn't come out here and bang the fire Jimbo, because that's not how it works. It's like, I wanted it to work because, and to be 100% honest with you, the contract made me fearful that no matter what I asked for, it wasn't going to get done.
Fans are going to fan. When things are going bad, they're mad at everybody. And you hear what you want to hear, and you don't hear what you don't want to hear.
Yeah. Anyway.
That includes one.
One or one?
Yeah, he's one in a million.
He's a good dude. I'm sure he's great. Apex Performance of the Week, presented by Apex Health. Feel like you're losing your edge? Why'd you smile?
Because that's easy.
It could be low testosterone, increase your energy, sharpen your focus. I thought you were just getting excited about Apex, but with a custom treatment plan from Apex Health. Learn more at apexhealthclinic.com. The Apex Health Clinic is owned and operated by a veteran serving the Brazos Valley. All right. Let's get into it. Number one is easy.
Yeah, it's got to be Jalen Henderson.
Did he do something big this week?
He comes in his first start in his career, hadn't thrown a collegiate pass in 2 years. There's no reason to think A&M's going to do anything offensively, and this kid just goes out and accounts for 4 touchdowns, runs for 2, passes for 2.
Yeah.
Makes you go, hey, where's this guy been? And it'd be one thing if he did that against Abilene Christian or ULM or New Mexico, but say what you want about how bad Mississippi State is, but defensively they're a solid team.
Yeah. I mean, I think part of the problem with their defense was that their offense was so atrocious.
Well, yeah.
And why was their offense so atrocious? Well, it's not good, A, and B, A&M's defense was cooking.
So Jalen Henderson, I don't think anybody envisioned what they saw what they were going to see from him.
Yeah.
And for him to go out and play like that, I am just so happy that his mom and dad were able to, when they found out that he was going to be starting, were able to drop everything and catch a flight here and be there to see that.
Yeah.
I think about, did you watch Monday Night Football?
No.
All right, so Tommy DeVito for the Giants was making the start, and the poor guy was getting just killed, and of course I was enjoying it. And that wasn't Monday Night Football. I'm sorry, it was Sunday. I'm sorry. Well, but anyway, and they showed his family, and they look all frustrated. And one time his dad's cursing, like, "What are they doing?" No, Jalen's parents came and saw their kid have maybe this is just the popping the top on what's going to be a great career. But if not, they were there to see him have maybe the pinnacle moment of his career.
Just such a cool story, and I hope he continues it. And it'd be nice to see. I mean, I want Max to come back too. I would like to have 2 healthy quarterbacks for the last 3 games. Let's get into the next 2 because we got to get to Shireen. I have Tyreek Chappelle on there. You could have picked a couple different DBs. He played well.
Yeah, got 1 interception. Actually caused another one.
Yep, 1 interception and 1 tackle, and just played well.
He had the deflection that led to an interception by
Deuce Harmon. Right?
No,
it wasn't
Jacoby Matthews.
Jacoby Matthews. There you go. Yeah. So props to Tyreek Chappelle, who had missed a couple games. Maybe he would have been the difference in the Ole Miss game.
It could have been.
Potentially. And I got to throw in, by the way, basketball tonight plays SMU.
Yeah, they beat SMU tonight. I see on the list we have Henry Coleman.
Yeah.
You could have thrown 3 guys out.
You could have. You
could have thrown in Henry Coleman. You could have thrown in Boots Radford.
Wade Taylor at the end of the game. I know he
all's
shot
well
poorly.
that ends well, baby.
Yeah, baby. Look at that. We both said baby. That's weird. 20 points, 8 of 14, 11 rebounds, 2 assists in the game. This is after a quiet first game. Good to see Henry get on the stat sheet the way he did.
Henry didn't have to score in the first game. That's the kind of player Henry is. Henry just does what's needed from him.
Yeah, no doubt about it. When we come back here on TexAgs Radio, Shireen Williams, we'll talk about why A&M hasn't gotten it right with their head coach, plus a little bit about the Dallas Cowboys, some NFL stuff, Aggies in the NFL. Where is your pain, guys? Is it in your knees, your hips, your back? Don't let it sideline you. And yeah, OB. Okay, OB. You better be listening to this, right? Don't let them tell you that surgery is your only option, or you have to live with this pain all the time, up and down the stairs, not feeling good. Call QC Kinetics for the future of pain relief. They are the nation's leader in regenerative medicine, restoring and repairing that damaged joint tissue the natural way. The science of using properties from your own body to bring you lasting relief with no drugs and no downtime. They are trusted by patients all over America. They got over 150 clinics nationwide with advanced protocols that can get you moving once again. So here's what you need to do. Let's put your HSA and FSA funds to work right now and make sure that you get the relief that your body needs. These advanced regenerative treatments are getting amazing reviews with people who've got pain all over the place, right? Arthritic pain, you name it. They're going to take care of you, whatever injury you may have. Again, no drugs, no downtime, no surgery. Call QC Kinetics for a free consultation. Let their medical professionals give you a better path towards that pain relief. It is 979-452-6000, QC Kinetics. 979-452-6000. That's 979-452-6000. So on Saturday, I'm getting ready to go up the busy elevator at Kyle Field. Sometimes that thing gets backed up, bro. It's not fun.
Yeah.
And I hear, hello, David, and I'm looking through the sea of humans. Shireen Williams in the house. Let's go to the Brian Foley Law Hotline. We're joined by Shireen. Shireen, good morning.
Did you not recognize my voice when I spoke to you?
No, it wasn't that. It was like I just was in a zone, like when you're thinking about what you have to post and what you have to tweet, and then boom, a friendly voice and a friend showed up.
And there I was.
And there
written
you were.
on the egg.
So let's get into it. How surprised were you of the timing and the move to move on from Jimbo Fisher?
I think surprised and not surprised, like everybody was. I mean, not surprised that it happened, but after a 51-10 victory, you don't usually see those things happen. So, as we know now, it happened before the decision was made before Saturday. But, we've talked a lot about, I don't know that $7 million if you were going to get rid of him. And I do think that that Texas joining the SEC and what they're doing this year pushed it up. I truly do believe that. I think if Texas wasn't coming into the SEC next year, I think he's back for another year. I do think that pushed up the timing, and the decision makers were sitting there looking at, we don't want this to be happening a year from now where Texas is in the playoff conversation, and we're sitting here trying to get to 8 wins, by beating LSU another, 8-4 year, whoop-de-doo. So, I do think that kind of pushed up the timing. I want to talk about the offset, because national people, I don't know locally, but nationally, people are upset. Oh, there's no offset language in the contract. Yes, I would have preferred offset language in the contract. But let's just say Jimbo goes to West Virginia, okay? Let's say there's offset language. Anybody who doesn't know what offset language is, it's huge in the NFL. So if A&M's paying him $7 million in 2025, and he goes to West Virginia, and they pay him $5 million, and A&M only has to pay him $2 million. Okay, that's the offset language. What do you think if he goes to West Virginia and he has offset language in his contract? What do you think West Virginia is going to pay him? $100,000, maybe $250,000. He's going to screw A&M. The offset language would have done nothing. Nothing. You might get $100,000 back, $200,000 back. So for national media to be ripping A&M saying, how do you not have offset language in this contract? It does not matter. He would have gone to now he can double dip, yes. And he may get more because he'll negotiate more because now the money will be coming to him instead of going back to A&M. So this idea that they screwed up by not putting offset language in there is stupid.
Well, they screwed up by giving 10 years guarantee.
I know.
Right. So anything else?
No question.
There's nothing else.
No question.
I will say this, Shireen. You are a sage when it comes to football, and I respect your opinion. I would just say I really hope that you are wrong in your opinion that Texas had anything to do with the reaction here. I would hope we're at a point now that A&M would react based on just the fact that A&M expects more no matter what the situation is, and that Texas no longer factors into their thinking because you've had bigger fish to fry for a decade. But you may be right, but I hope you're not.
Yeah, well, and I think that your thinking should be the thinking. And we should be thinking, and I said this on a local broadcast yesterday on 105.3. I said, A&M and Texas, with the money they have, should win in every sport. No excuses, nothing. That's what the expectation should be, national championships, SEC titles. That should be the expectation every single year in every single sport.
Shireen, what kind of coach do you want to see here? Not necessarily a name, although if you have one, we'll take it. But what do you want to see? Young, up and coming. You want another Jimbo, like an established guy who's done things. What do you want?
Listen, we have tried so hard to go after the big names. I was so excited when Jimbo Fisher came. It was a national story. Oh my God, the A&M got Jimbo Fisher. Same way with Francione. How did those work out for us? Not very well. I want someone who loves Texas A&M as much as I love Texas A&M. I want someone who wants to be at Texas A&M because they think they can win. They want to win. They want to do it for the fans. They want to do it for the school. They want to do it for everything that A&M stands for. And that is not a coach from Oregon, a coach from Washington. That is an Elijah Robinson. That is a Mike Elko. That is an Aaron Glenn. That is a coach who knows the culture, who knows what he's getting into, probably a Jeff Traylor. I want one of those guys who truly loves A&M and wants to come A&M and help A&M win because they love A&M, not because they're going to get paid a lot of money. Forget that. You can win at A&M. I know you can win at A&M. Just no one's been able to do it. And I do think it's a coaching issue. I think they selected the wrong coach. Again, I was thrilled when they got Timbo Fisher. I thought he was going to be the one. I thought Francione was going to be the one. They haven't worked out. So get somebody who I would love. Elijah. I would go crazy, and I understand the players have gone crazy over Elijah Robinson. I would love to see him get the head coaching job. I think he would do a fantastic job. I think he would keep all the recruits. I think he would get coaches in here. I think it would be great. I don't think he gets the job. So if it's not going to be him, then let's do a Michael Elko or a Aaron Glenn or a Jeff Traylor or somebody who understands what A&M stands for and loves Texas A&M.
All right, Shireen, let's get into Aggies in the NFL and maybe a particular quarterback coach out there as well.
Yeah, I do have to give a shout-out because we haven't mentioned him, but Jared Johnson has just done a fantastic job with C.J. Stroud, and he could end up being Assistant Coach of the Year for what he has done, his work with Stroud, because it's just been amazing. Stroud's a top 10 quarterback. He's an MVP candidate. He's just been one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL so far. So shout-out to him. Also shout-out to Jalen Jones. I haven't mentioned him this year, and he's played so good for a rookie. 5 tackles this week, but he's just played fantastic. Probably going to make the all-rookie team. So shout-out to him. Shout-out to Vaughn, too. He only had 1 tackle. He's still trying to work his way back from that knee injury, and it hasn't gone very well. He hasn't played very well. He hasn't played very much. But he played his former team last night, and the fact that he was on the field against his former team I know was really special to him, and I know he wishes he had played better. But still a shout-out to him. But 3, we're going to go with some of the same names. Justin Matabuke, what a season he's had. See, the career high, 8.5 sacks now. He had 5.5 last year. That was his previous career high. He had a sack, 3 tackles in that loss to the Browns. 7 games in a row with at least a half a sack. In the last 5 games, he has 6 sacks. He's just playing at a high level. 2 Miles edged him out in the same game, a sack and a half, 3 tackles, a tackle for loss. Miles being Miles, a leading contender for Defensive Player of the Year right now, just having a fantastic season. And number 1, Mike Evans, 6 catches, 143 yards, and a touchdown in the victory over the Titans. And guess what, boys? But we have Devon Achane coming back this week. How excited is everyone to see him back on the field?
So pumped to see him. He was on his way to Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, he makes me a Dolphins fan.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Shireen, great stuff as always. Thanks so much.
Thank you, guys.
Shireen Williams there on the hotline. Appreciate her time here on the program. OB, I know you got some stuff to get into.
Yep.
Enjoy the rest of your day, buddy. Thank you so much.
All right.
It's
thanks.
the Go Hour presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. OB's got to do some stuff. When we come back, we're going to do a segment on the Association of Former Students, Pass It Back Day, plus a lot of stuff throughout the program. As I mentioned, we're going to have Josh Pate on the show at 10:20. Jordan Pugh's going to join us as he normally does. The KBTX Roundtable, Jamie McCoy. A lot of good stuff to get into here on the program. Right now, though, we're talking about Caldwell Country Chevrolet, Highway 21 in Caldwell. Online, CaldwellCountryChevrolet.com. When you go to CaldwellCountryChevrolet.com, you can get a kind of feel for the vehicles that they have there on the lot. You see what they have, you see the pricing, and you start like, oh, what an appetite. Like, I see, what the beak, let's go. And then when you make the trek out there to Caldwell, you're going to be blown away by the customer service and also their attention to detail and making sure that they find the right vehicle for you at the right time. Whatever season of life you're in, if you've got kids that are getting close to driving, if you are in a situation where your car's got almost 200,000 miles, if you're just one of those that likes to change cars every 2 or 3 years, let Caldwell Country Chevrolet be the place for you. It's about a 15-minute drive. Not that far, Bryan to Caldwell, the very edge of Bryan to the very edge of Caldwell. Short conversation away. But you're going to see the difference when you step on the lot and do business with the good people there at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Highway 21 in Caldwell, online, caldwellcountrychevrolet.com. All right, we're back here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio Go Hour, presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. As we've been mentioning throughout the show, it is Pass It Back Day, and we want to make sure that we give back, right? And there's a lot of advantages to giving back today on this particular 24-hour day. So let's do this. Let's go to the hotline right now, and we are joined by one of our favorites who used to work here on TexAgs, Lexi Hudson, class of 17, who works at the Association of Former Students. Lexi, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. What's going on?
Oh, it's Pass It Back Day. It's like our favorite day of the year.
It is a great time of year, a great day. So for those who don't understand why we do this, give us the why and how it benefits this great community.
Of course. So Pass It Back Day, of course, is our annual day of giving. It's 24 hours where we encourage Aggies just across the world, across the country to donate and help other Aggies. So with that, when you give, it helps us connect former students all over the world. We support A&M clubs, constituent networks, classes, traveling Aggies, of course, and of course, maintain the integrity of the ring, resizing, delivery, benefits current students with those scholarships, those organizations, and bringing those traditions that we love so much to life. And of course, we help with student scholarships and assistant funding and academic programs that focus on that student support. So there's a ton of reasons to give and the why we do it.
Lexi, one of my favorite parts of this is when I first started in this industry as a journalist, as you've done as well. There's no money in the beginning. So there were a couple years that I couldn't give back to the Association of Former Students. But today's the day that I get to double up. Explain that.
Yes, so there are a ton of ways to give. If you are a first-time giver, today's the day. It definitely will help us reach that goal of 2,800 donors. So this year, right now, I think we're sitting at, if I look at the board correctly, it's sitting at 260 gifts so far. So we've got a long way to go. But there's a ton of ways you can give. Like I said, the first-time gifts. If you've already given, you can gift a second gift this year and buy missing bars back for 50%. As well as sponsor student. And then, of course, we have a ton of challenges that you can participate in that I know class of 2017 is gonna step up and take the win.
Hey, so in years past, is it usually the younger classes that win? Is it the older classes? Like, it becomes kind of a big deal.
It is a big deal. So it is a competition. Of course, we like to compete around here. But no, actually, last year, class of 80 and 93 topped those class challenges. And then class of 2018 won that Young Alumni Challenge. So I need my class of 2017 to step up so we can win this Young Alumni Challenge and even the class challenge.
Lexi, I think sometimes people think about the Association of Former Students helping out former students, but they help out current students as well.
Yes, we help out current students not only with those academic scholarships, but of course those organizations on campus. We give to help support them, whether it's they need money to travel to a conference or host something. We do a ton of things with those current students as well as those former students, and that's just one way we do it.
Lexi, remind us how we can all participate and be a part of it and give back to a great situation and cause.
Of course. So you can visit tx.ag/PassItBackDay. It's a main page that you can go and check out all the stats and ways that your gift can help current and former students. And then, of course, our website, aggienetwork.com, also has that additional information.
All right. Thank you. As I think later on in the show, we're going to check in and try to see what states and countries are all participating in the game. So I appreciate you so much, Lexi.
Of course. Thank you.
The Lexi Hudson, class of 2017, of course. Used to work here at TexAgs, became a big-time reporter, now helping them out. Appreciate her time. Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Censor before we hit a break here. We got a couple text messages. Some are nice, right, Luke Evangelist, who we haven't checked in with?
Yeah, it's a good day in Aggie land. So I've got a nice text message saying Elijah Robinson has all the best qualities of Dan Campbell and Deion Sanders. Players love him, play for him, and he's sitting right in front of us. Give him a chance.
Yeah. So here's my thing. I would absolutely consider Elijah Robinson if I'm part of that staff that is figuring out the future. If I'm Ross Bjork and the rest of the team, I do want to see who's interested. I do want to see what it will cost. I do want to see what my players think, and I do want to see how the season plays out. Because as I mentioned a moment ago, I'm very curious about this offense. Because now do we get to see it's going to be hard to see the real Bobby Petrino offense because it's at the end of the season. But I'm interested to see how maybe the play calling does change now without potential handcuffs that were there. Potential, I don't know. Maybe we've already seen it. We're about to find out. But I am curious to see what the offense looks like. I'm curious to see maybe some different strategies defensively. Even though it was DJ Durkin's defense, Elijah's the main guy now, right? And what he says will go a long way. Luke, what else we got?
Yeah, one more from Susan in OKC said, please tell me that Lane Kiffin is not going to be our next head coach.
I don't foresee that being the cause. I don't see that foresee that being reality. I don't. And I think even Billy on this show yesterday said the same thing, to not believe that. We'll see. Look, would I talk to him? I would talk to him. I know that hurts people's feelings. I would talk to him. I would have a hard time with the way he came at this university, and at Jimbo specifically, hiring him because I think he went too hard at some of our players and our program. So I probably wouldn't, but I would probably have a conversation. But that's it. I think that's where I'm at with it. All right, we'll come back with Jamie McCoy on TexAgs Radio. All right, Mr. Positivity is about to join us. Let's see what he's thinking. It's TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. We go to the Brian Foley Law Hotline. Jamie McCoy, what's up, man?
Oh man, what's going on? Just another day and week of being an Aggie. How you doing, David?
I'm good. So we're gonna get into the game at some point. I know we would. We will. But just how shocked were you on Sunday morning when you woke up and saw the news? Were you shocked?
I was shocked. Shoot, we went to the game, got back. I had to watch a late night episode of Big Brother since I missed it. And went to bed, woke up, and I had a text message, which it usually comes from the site where if we got a recruit or somebody signed with us or, whatever the case may be. And I looked at it and it said Jimbo's not going to be brought or no longer going to be the head coach. And I thought, man, is this a joke? I kind of scrolled up, but then I saw stuff that was, from the past. So I'm like, no, this is an official, update or information that we get. And, I just kind of thought to myself, man, the timing is the thing that got me. I didn't think it would happen. I thought he would at least get to see how this year ended. And if he had a bad year next year, it'd be time to pull the trigger. But after listening to Ross's speech and whatnot, I mean, I feel where he's coming from. I know all Aggies, you don't think Jimbo's a bad guy. I mean, Sumlin wasn't a bad guy, but we're ready to win. And the time is now. We waited too long. We've been the laughing stock for too long. It's time to make it known that the Aggie presence is here. So I agree with the decision. Just didn't think it happened that way.
So you agree with the decision. Was there a point during his tenure where you're like, man, I don't know if he's going to get it done? Or did you still, even as of last week, man, just if Connor's here, maybe it does work? Or was there a point you're like, I don't think this is going to work?
I could see, me being the optimist I am. I never got to the point that I was like, I don't think it's going to work. I knew that there was potential for it too. I know for one, we got the athletes to absolutely get it done. And I can't say that it all wasn't on Jimbo, because there were some cases in a few of the games that we've lost this year where I think I'm one of the people who's put it back on the players and just said that we need some type of accountability, because sometimes whether it's missing a block, bad punt, missed kick, blocked field goal, whatever the case, some of that stuff doesn't boil down to coaching. It's just bad draw. You didn't hit on that play. But I mean, gosh, the fact that it's over and done with now, I mean, all we really can do is just look ahead, move forward, and go do our best to put this team in the right light.
All right, tell me what kind of hire you're looking for. If there's a name, you can do that too. But what do you want to see as the head coach? Give me some intangibles, some qualities, some traits.
What I would like to see is somebody that can relate to the Aggies and feel our pain as far as knowing what's granted, whoever gets a job, I think the expectations, and I think now, especially after us willing to pay for a guy to just leave and be gone. I think that the expectation is winning. I would like to see somebody with some spunk, some charisma. Right now, I live in Waco. What I don't want is, and not to bash anybody, but the coach they got here, Aranda, you don't know whether it's a good play, bad play. There's just no excitement. I need somebody who's going to give me a fist pump or yell at somebody. Doesn't have to be, over the top, but I need some type of personality. And then for me, I've said it all year on the show. I want somebody that's aggressive, whether it be aggressive on the defensive side, aggressive on the offensive side. We've got too much talent to let it just sit by the wayside and just kind of get through these games with other opponents. I want us to dominate, impose our will, if you will. So that's what I'm looking for. Name-wise, I would love to have Lanning, but I'm guessing Oregon's going to try to pony up and try to keep him safe. DeBoer will be okay, but me personally, I don't think our defense has looked as good as it has when we were under Elko. I love Elko. I think Elko, being at A&M, knows what's expected, knows what the fan base is all about, knows what we're looking for. I think he could find somebody exciting to match his style of defense, because all I saw when he was under command as defensive coordinator was confusion from the opposing teams. We always were in the fight. Our defense always was in the right. Not to say that it wasn't this year. I just know what Elko brings. So that's a name that I would like to see if it gets to the point that we're kind of scrambling, because this thing needs to happen soon before early signing day and getting into recruiting, before we lose recruits, NIL, all that stuff. I think this needs to happen sooner than later.
Talking to Jamie McCoy here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. What do you think about Elijah Robinson getting his opportunity, his chance right now?
I love that. You know, at times when the decision is made, you got to go to the next guy. And if you were to just ask any fan off the street, I'm not sure that they would have told you Elijah would get the nod ahead of Durkin or Petrino, who both have head coaching experience. But I think it's a testament to the faith that they have in Elijah as a coach. I know he was there with Terry. I know he has a big emotional draw with these kids. And listen to his speech that he had, I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before, but listen to how he addressed the kids and what he's looking to do. And I feel like he knows his role moving forward. I would love for if he could stay on staff, and depending on how these two games go, I mean, if he wants to put his name in the hat and the kids are drawn to him, I can't say that I'd be opposed to that. As an Aggie, I think we all would love somebody with a little bit more experience. Not to say that he's not capable at all. Like I said, I love him getting his shot. It just says that we have all the faith in the world in him. But for the head coaching gig, I think we need a guy with a little bit more experience, a little bit more moxie, a guy who's been there before, done that, knows what to expect and what's expected of him.
I made this comment earlier in the show, and I think it sounds like a shot at Jimbo, and it might be. I don't mean it that way. But I feel like I have more optimism heading into the LSU game now with the change. And the main reason is I think that conservative, play calling / attacking of a game, that might not be the case, in these next couple games. If these games come down to a play or two, maybe we get that play or two because of a different approach.
Yeah, just to dig at you, I think you did make a dig at Jimbo, but realistically, I don't think you're taking a shot at him there. I kind of had the same thought. I don't think ACU should be a threat. I love to see what Henderson came in and did as our third string guy. Hopefully Max is okay, but I'm not so much worried about this weekend. But I agree with you, going into LSU. All the talk about Daniels being the potential Heisman and all that. I think that falls by the wayside. I think Elijah, knowing what the defense expect, Durkin's still there. I think the defensive side is going to be okay, and I think we can hold our own against LSU. But I agree with you in the sense of Jimbo no longer being there. I think this opens it up for Petrino because I remember watching Petrino when he had Ryan Mallett and those guys at Arkansas and what he did with Lamar Jackson up at Louisville. He likes to air it out. He wants to get the run game involved, but I know that he likes hitting those four verticals. So I agree with you in the sense that I think when we go into LSU, not only will there be energy of let's get a better bowl game, let's end this season right, let's end it as high as we can. I think we'll see these guys band together and put on a tip-top performance just for they got to be feeling how all us Aggie fans are feeling. There's anxiety. We don't know what's up in the air. I think that they give us something to hold on to moving into next year before we get this coaching hire done and then moving forward, getting into the new SEC.
Jamie, the weird part about this whole thing is we're talking about this after A&M played their most complete game of the year with their third-string quarterback. The defense was great. Look, I know Mississippi State's not good. Telling you, man, third-string quarterback, your starting running back is not there, all the issues going on. They played a different brand of football Saturday.
Yeah, I agree. Being out there, I didn't know what to expect. And then last week, on Tuesday, we spoke and we didn't hear anything about Max's injury. So I didn't know that he wasn't going to play. And when we didn't talk about it, I figured, okay, well, he must be good. But when Henderson trotted out there, my my boy turned to me and was like, "Who is that?" I'm like, "I don't know either." But what he put out there on tape, Tomlin used to always say, "The eye in the sky doesn't lie," and that guy put some good stuff out there on tape. Love seeing. I think they catered to him. I wish they would have catered to Max a little more, but I don't know if it's what he knows in the playbook. If they try to dumb things down and keep it simple, but I love seeing him rolling to his left. It seems like we like to roll Max out to his right, even though he's left-handed. But getting some quarterback run involved, everything that I was watching out there made me say, man, if I'm a recruit, I could see myself playing in this system. If I'm a young quarterback that's mobile and can throw the ball well, why would I not want to come play in this look? I agree with you. It looked like a new look offense. Defense was playing inspired. Special teams outside of the kickoff return to start the game. It just looked like the complete package. And I know for the Aggies, it was, on Veterans Day, it's being there watching it. It was just like, man, this is what we expect. This is how we should look. The only thing is, like you said, we're doing it against teams that we know we should beat, and we never have a problem with those. It's the tough games where we might be a slight underdog, where this Aggie fan base is waiting for us to get over that hump of winning the games that aren't expected to be won or the tough ones.
How much of it was that they simplified it? Look, I wasn't in the meetings, but it sure felt and looked like it was simplified. Easy looks, easy throws, one read, let's move.
I think that had a lot to do with it. And the question you beg or ask yourself is, if we can, granted, the opponent wasn't as tough as the previous three that we faced, but it's a simple question of, if we could do it for this kid, why can't we do it for our top-notch guys and going against top-notch opponents? There's no secret to it. I've said it all year. Throw it, give your guys a chance. I feel like a lot of those reads and a lot of mesh points we're doing across the middle and whatnot, it's just dink and dunk. If you just say, hey, I see single coverage on the outside. My guy's a 5-star. I don't even care what star your guy is. I'm giving my guy a chance. Just 3-step drop, throwing it up. As simple as that sounds, I feel like we haven't done that up until seeing a little bit of that this previous game. So hopefully moving forward, with Jimbo gone and Petrino able to kind of let his hair down, I'm hoping we see a lot more of that. I would not be surprised if whichever quarterback is back there in the helm against LSU lights it up. I just saw that we're playing at 11 on that game as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if they go out there and light it up. I think it's going to be a dogfight.
Hey, Jamie, I also think it's interesting the last 6 quarters of football, dating back to the Ole Miss game, not only has the offense been better, the offensive line has been a big reason that the offense has been better. They've been blocking better. Have you noticed a difference with that part of it?
I have. The running game has looked improved. And granted, after this point in the season, there's only so many looks that you probably haven't seen yet. So I think it's a testament to the O-line coach somewhat getting these guys together and getting them to synergize and bring their efforts to one goal, one cause. I hated to see Moss go down against Ole Miss. He was running the ball so well. But Amari came in and looked great this weekend. I think Ruben is still younger and going through some of his growing pains as a freshman, as all of them do. But the offensive line looked great. I'm hoping that they should look great this weekend. I'm hoping that we just get out there and play some inspired football to end the year with LSU.
Jamie, how important are these next couple of games, including the bowl game, considering there's going to be a regime change coming, right? Somebody else is going to be the head coach. But winning out sounds phenomenal, especially with LSU on your schedule and a bowl game. But just how important is that for maybe some of the guys still on the roster, considering what they may do in the future?
I don't think it's paramount, but it's up there as far as importance. winning these next games, or I'm not even going to think about ACU because that should be an automatic win. But going out there and winning against LSU could be not only a big morale boost for the fan base, the coaches and players alike, but I think it holds some of the guys that might be on the fence, not knowing where we stand, not knowing if we're going to get a new coach or who knows who's talking to who with all the portal talk and whatnot. Hopefully none of that's going on, but I wouldn't be surprised if it is. But winning kind of cures everything. If we can go out there and win this weekend and then come out and win next week as well, I think it gives you I think it kind of holds everybody over until the coaching search is finished up. I think it allows everybody to kind of take a chill pill and see where the plane is going to land. Yeah, I mean, winning is not a cure-all, but I think it would behoove us to do all that we can to lessen the blow as much as we can. Granted, nobody wants to go out there and lose a game, but winning would absolutely help everything around with players that are already in the program and players that are looking to come to the program next year.
All right, Jamie, last thing for you. Same kind of question, but just about a different topic. How important is it for them to act fast and get somebody as the head coach here, hopefully by December 1st, as just a random date?
Yeah, it's huge. As you see, I know I heard mention of there's never been a time where in one game both coaches get fired. But I think that was a little bit of Mississippi State not trying to steal our thunder, but I think they saw what we did and said, you know what, they're acting now, we need to act now. So not only do we have those two coaching searches going on, but there's going to be more in the fold as the season ends. Some guys just aren't willing to pull the trigger like we are right now. Getting this thing done as quickly and professionally as possible is paramount because, like you said, we have early signing day. We don't know who on the roster is wanting to leave or trying to flirt with the portal. And then you want to get whoever it's going to be, you want to get his coaching staff in here as quick as possible and get these guys learning what they're going to do going into this new SEC next year. So, yes, more than anything, before this year ends, December 1st, I think that's a great date. That's a great point for us to know who our candidates are if we hadn't made a decision yet. But if we can have it done by December 1st, I think that would be icing on the cake, and the Aggie Nation would be proud. They'd be ready to roll in the next year with some new energy and some new spunk.
That is Jamie McCoy here on the Brian Foley Law Hotline. By the way, Brian Foley, good people can have a bad day. Call Brian Foley at 936-596-0407, serving the Houston, the Woodlands, Conroe, and the Brazos Valley. Jamie, great stuff, man. Thanks so much for your time.
No problem. Thank you, David. Y'all have a good day. Giggle.
Giggle, bro. Jamie McCoy here on the hotline, Brian Foley Law Hotline. Just had a sip of my TexAgs coffee. Let's do this. Let's give away some TexAgs coffee. We haven't done that today. If it's very good, by the way. We've been getting some great reviews. If you're interested, go to texags.com/coffee. So let's do this. Let's get since I said December 1st. It's the 12th month. We are the 12th man. Let's go the 12th texter on the text line, 979-693-1150. TexAgs coffee needs to be in the subject. The 12th texter to put that on the text thread will get themselves some free TexAgs coffee. So let's do that. When we come back on TexAgs Radio, KBTX joining us a little earlier than they normally do because we got a lot of stuff to get into on this show. So we'll talk to our friends there at KBTX. Morgan's in the house. Tyler's in the house as well. And as a reminder, today is Pass It Back Day, the 8th annual Pass It Back Day, a special day set aside to show the power of that Aggie network. Their 2023 goal is 2,800 donors. You can help connect former students all over the world by supporting A&M clubs, their networks, their classes, and, of course, the traveling Aggies. Help maintain that integrity of oversight of eligibility, ordering, resizing, repair, and delivery of that Aggie ring. All this helps benefits current students, providing scholarships, supporting organizations, and bringing tradition to life. Helps support academic programs through Texas A&M that have a focus on student success. There's so many challenges going on today, like one of them, the Student Century Club Sponsor Challenge, the opportunity to sponsor a veteran current students, members of Maroon Out, Ross volunteers, singing cadets. For every student sponsored, a donor will sponsor one additional student. You've got the Geographic Challenge, $250 in matching funds for every state with a minimum gift of $100. We want all 50 states in the house, the Young Alumni Challenge, the A&M Club Challenge. So many different clubs involved with this as well. So make sure you give. And there's lots of ways to give. You can do first-time gifts. If somebody's already given, they can buy a second gift of the year. You can also buy missing years back at a 50% discount. Sponsor a student. So check out tx.ag/passitback. Again, that is tx.ag/passitback. Check it out. It's the Association of Former Students Pass It Back Day. TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. KBTX is in the house early. Your segment doesn't start for 10 more minutes, guys. What are you doing here?
You told us to come in
I'm
early.
just kidding.
You were talking a little volleyball.
Tyler and Morgan in the house. What's going on? How you guys been?
Good. How are you?
I'm well. Did I see you? I know I saw you Saturday. Did I see you
No,
Saturday?
you did not see me Saturday.
Where
How
were you?
disappointing for you.
Where?
Oh, I was at the station.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You were manning the ship.
I was standing on business at the station.
So let's get right into it because I asked you before the segment, so I'm going to ask you on the air. Like, how surprising was Sunday morning when you found out, oh, this is real, he's gone?
I was shocked mainly with the timing of it. I think we all knew that this was something that was a possibility, especially at the end of the season. But now that we're hearing all the information, we're hearing the timing makes sense. But waking up Sunday morning after a 41-point win, hearing Jimbo's done, I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Very shocking.
Yeah, not anything I expected to wake up to on Sunday. Now, looking back, there were some
signs and things I heard Saturday night that made sense, but I kind of brushed it off because I didn't really think it was going to be that immediate. Like, it's kind of weird to think, since I've been here, Jimbo's been the only coach, and it's just kind of weird to, he's gone.
I really liked him. I did, and I wanted it to work.
I think he was respectful to the media. Mondays were kind of fun, win or lose. I think he showed the human side of himself, and the players seem to like him. You see their reactions on Twitter. I think they buy into A&M and they like A&M, but they also came for Jimbo. So I think he will be missed.
I think it could have worked. You said you wanted it to work, and it could have.
3 or 4 plays away, according to him.
More than could. It should have worked.
Well, and I think that's why he's gone, is because it should have worked and it didn't. I still wouldn't have been shocked if, let's say they finish the season strong and they win that LSU game and they decide to keep him on a short leash the next year, see how it goes. I wouldn't be shocked to see that happen and have a successful year. But how many times are you going to have to say that? How many times are you going to say, let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. So it makes sense that they're making the change.
If you go through his resume at A&M, I feel like it was inevitable, right? Other than the contract. The contract was my sticking point, right? There was honestly.
Ross says the finances are monumental. Well, it's yeah.
He owned up to it, though.
Yeah.
But 9 straight road losses, that gets you fired. It does. No top 25 wins on the road. How many 2 seasons in a row of losses coming down to 1 possession.
Right.
The different ways of losing, interception and gains, block kicks, special teams blunders. You cannot continue to do that and expect anything different if it's year 6, if it's year 2, because Mike Norvell did change things, right? Mike Norvell,
right,
arrow pointing up. It didn't. And when players start believing that the arrow's not pointing up, then it's hard to keep guys and bring in guys.
Well, and you take out the 2020 COVID year, and his resume is even more glaring because that was the one bright spot. And I don't want to dismiss what happened that year, but it wasn't a normal year, and you take just kind of that small segment of his resume out, and it's even worse.
See, I disagree there, and maybe because I want to disagree, maybe because I want to believe that was a good year. All right, but the reason, that's an all SEC schedule. That is a ridiculous thing. They won 9 out of 10 games. Did they count the championship for Alabama that year? They did, right? Now,
are those true road wins though, with 5,000 people in the stands?
Well, is it a true home win?
You
know what I'm saying?
You're right.
You know what I'm saying? Kyle Field is a different animal, right? So that to me, this is what it felt like. You were going up the stairs, right? Mm-hmm. You thought there was a 3rd floor. There wasn't a 3rd floor, so now you start going down the stairs. That's what it felt like. You got to the end of the top of the stairs, all right, well, now I'm going to start going down. And this year, to me, hurts more than last year, because last year I saw the excuses. I helped make the excuses, right? You got a bunch of freshmen out there, transition. You got a new offensive line coach, a new defensive line. Your quarterback went down again. Yeah. When it's the 3rd straight year of that same thing, I'm like, all right, well, there's something wrong in the ingredients or in the way you're making the food that is not working.
And it's all I've seen since I've been here, because every season I've been here, it's been that kind of disappointment. And when you're getting paid that much, you're getting these top recruiting classes, it's like, what are you doing?
You're right.
It's just disappointing.
There wasn't the excuse. Yeah, there were valid excuses last year, and you're right, there weren't that this year. I don't think Connor going down is a big enough excuse to derail your whole season.
Right.
There are a lot of what ifs if Connor stayed healthy, but you do have Max Johnson, and you did bring in Bobby Petrino, and you should have a better offensive line. So,
see, I think you can only play the what if for a season.
Yeah.
It's been 3.
Maybe 2, right?
You're right.
You can play it for that 1 year. I don't think you can keep playing because I played the what if game. I was for 15 hours a week. What if they score 1 more touchdown? What if they? Well, you know what? They are scoring more than 1 touchdown, and they're still losing games by a possession.
And people are still saying, I think he should stay another year because we never got to see him a full season with Connor Wegman. I'm like, you can't keep saying that.
Yep.
No excuses.
And look, I think Connor is the truth. I think in the right structure, this guy's going to be a Heisman contender. I believe all the things about Connor. I do. But even with Connor, we lost to Miami. I said we. Texas A&M lost to Miami. I am part of the we, but they lost to Miami. They lost to Ole Miss last year. They lost games that they shouldn't, and that's with him at the helm. And I think the reason it wasn't Connor's fault was that there were different things that pop up why they lost. Offensive line issues, special team blunders, not sending an all-out blitz at Tyler Van Dyke and letting him just
do whatever he wanted.
Right?
Yeah,
like
was
that.
wild.
That was a bad game plan. I said that loud. I'm sorry, guys.
That was a bad game
You're
plan.
passionate about it.
I am. Let's hit a break. I got some more stuff I want to get into, not just argue about Jimbo and the 2020 season. Right now, caller number 1, we're going to give you a free car wash right now from Aggie Land Express Car Wash in South College Station off of William D. Fitch in Greens Prairie. Aggie owner and operator with the friendliest staff and a personal touch. They offer a monthly membership, but we'll give the first caller a free car wash right now from Aggie Land Express in South College Station. 979-693-1150. All right, TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio, continuing with our friends from KBTX. All right, Morgan Tyler, let's get into yesterday.
Okay.
I thought, and we can talk about Ross too on Sunday, but I thought Elijah was great yesterday, wasn't he?
He did really, really well. And I can see why he was chosen as the interim coach. I mean, you have 2 experienced coordinators. They know what they're doing. They don't need somebody at the helm to be that experienced, right? Or have that head coaching experience. So I think he was a good choice, mainly because the players will rally around him. He used to be a player. He seems to fit in with them, and I'm happy for him that he has this opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think he is kind of a player's coach, you know, and they're going to listen to him. They are going to rally around him. That's why they got him. And then he doesn't have to focus as much on game planning when you have, Dirk and Bobby still just doing what they've been doing. So I think I didn't expect him to be the interim coach, but I think the reasoning behind it is perfect.
See, I thought he was going to be because of his relationship with the players and just he's their best recruiter. His position group might be the best on the team. Like,
Right.
I mean,
It is.
Right?
He's got the best. You look at the coaches right now. He's got the best track record here at A&M.
And he's been here longer than both the coordinators
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah. And look, I think either direction would have been fine, but this allows them to focus on what they do best. Allows DJ to focus on defense. It allows Bobby to focus on the offense. And I do think we might see a different Bobby Petrino looking offense the rest of the way.
You don't have an offensive-minded head coach, and I don't know if getting in the way is ever what happened, but you have to think
Strongly encouraging certain situations.
Yes, it's not like Bobby had full reign of the offense with Jimbo still there looming over his shoulder. So you're right. I mean, we might see some different things this last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I mean, we only have really a few games to see the difference in ACU. It's just like
that's whatever.
They'll run over ACU,
Hey.
hopefully.
But, for Elijah, it's an opportunity to learn how to call timeout. Like, all the things that we don't know that goes into the job, I mean, we can kind of guess, but, like, he's going to have to do it. Does he have to talk to people? He's doing the coaches show. He's like, there's a lot of new things on his plate.
Yeah, the Monday press conference itself,
right? Yeah. So speaking of pressers, I thought I was not there on Sunday. I watched it. I thought Ross was dynamic. I thought his tone was perfect. His delivery and his messaging was exactly what I think we Aggies needed to hear.
I think the biggest thing, whether he was the one who decided on the 2021 extension or not, he took accountability for it. He said, we learned our lessons. He laid out all the financials as well, because that's everybody's biggest question. He's like, 12th man in athletics is going to take care of it. So Ross did really well.
He did.
It's not his first rodeo. You can tell he is very seasoned in this. He knows what he's doing. Very slick was an adjective, I guess you could use for it. So yeah, I think he hit all the right points, said all the right things. And I think he was very transparent too, which is refreshing. You don't want someone to just come in, give an opening statement, read from a sheet, say, that's it, and leave. So
the interesting part is how long this takes, right? Like, you don't want it to take a long time, but you do want to rush it, but you don't want to rush it, if that makes any sense.
No, you want to get the best possible person for the job. And if that takes a little longer, it takes a little longer. But the timing does make sense now, because it's going to be the most appealing job in college football. And to get that out and early, I think is best for A&M.
Yeah, if they had waited till after the season, we don't know what other jobs would have been open and what other coaches have already started to move. And because we know that people agree to jobs before they actually, publicly come out. So I think this is the perfect time to kind of get the feelings out there and get the guy that they need and they want.
So what kind of hire do you think they need to get?
They need
somebody young.
You think young is the way to go?
I think so.
Young could be. I think you need someone that's proven, because I think after Jimbo, you can't. You could go with an up and comer, but I think the perfect one would be Dan Lanning out of Oregon. If you could get him, I think that's a home run hire. You need someone that's proven, that's done it. Not necessarily won the national championship, and maybe not necessarily a head coach. Maybe an SEC coordinator, maybe a Power 5 coordinator, Power 5 head coach. But the difference between getting someone like Dan Lanning and getting someone like Jimbo 6 years ago, Jimbo had done it. He was on the decline afterwards. What did he? After he won that national championship, he was.
Well, I famously on this show, I don't know, a year and a half ago, went to war with a media member of defending Jimbo, and I still feel like I was right at the moment.
Are you embarrassed now?
No, because it was about Sam Pittman and Jimbo,
okay,
and my thing is, 1 year does not trump a career, right? And there are several, like Dave Aranda at Baylor. People were talking about how great he is. He might be.
Yeah.
He had one great year.
Yeah.
And now they're probably going to fire him.
Yeah.
Sam Pittman may make it, may not make it. Like, I still at that moment, but the energy that I did to defend Jimbo at that time, I think looking back is like, I didn't see. I asked this question on the show like 3 weeks ago. When you lose your fastball, do you ever get it back? Thinking Jimbo's probably lost his fastball.
Right.
And it was just, we were seeing it in real time happen. It was like, but maybe he can get it back. It's like that athlete. Like, maybe if they train for this next fight, they'll be ready to go. Maybe Mike Tyson could be the Mike Tyson that I grew up watching. No, when it goes, it goes.
And I think that's the coach they need, someone hitting their stride and hitting their prime, not someone that's already been to their prime and may or may not be on the other side of it.
Right.
So if you can find that perfect candidate, that's what they're going to need to get.
So as a former newscaster, I feel bad for Jalen Henderson.
Yeah.
And you guys know my pain, right?
Yeah, because on Sunday we were discussing how is our coverage going to be in Josh and Daryl, like, maybe we should do something on Jalen, and Tyler and I disagreed because it's old news. We can talk about it this week if he's the starter again. He had a phenomenal game. It was against Mississippi State, but still a great first debut for him. But Jimbo overshadowed him.
If this was any other Sunday, because normally how Sundays go for us is we just kind of recap the game, and Morgan will put a package together talking about the game, and it was all going to be about Jalen. But
you can't do that.
We couldn't even mention it then, because it's almost like, all of our coverage had to be Jimbo, and it's just...
Look, how unlikely of a performance that was when you when we take a step back. There was no film on the dude. He hadn't thrown a pass since 2021.
Right.
If he walked into this studio a week ago, I think we would have known, but we wouldn't have. Like, it would have been like, is that Jalen Henderson?
Yeah.
Like, it would have been one of those, right? Like, most people around town didn't know who he was. Jamie McCoy was on the show a few minutes ago saying, I didn't even know who he was. Like, and there he goes. And the fact that this offense, which has struggled, looked so good, right? Like,
and I think his play style fits this offense perfectly. We saw a little bit of it with Connor because he's a mobile quarterback and can run, but Jalen's to another degree. Yeah. And I think the way that they have struggled protecting, the way that he can just get out of the pocket, is such a natural runner. If he's the perfect fit for this offense, the way they're constructed right now.
Somebody else that may have caught your eye. Anybody beyond Jalen Henderson that, is there somebody out there?
Ja'Day Walker.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Another couple games in a row, right?
Absolutely.
I'm going to go with the local kid out of Lexington, Jared Kerr.
Okay, Tyler.
That hit was nasty. He had a huge play. And not only that play, but he had a good game. I think, 5 tackles. And
the whole defense.
Yeah,
how many people had picks?
Yeah.
One of the different picks.
One of the things I was going to bring up is, and this is an indictment on Jimbo's regime, how many guys did we see really develop? And I'm going to tell you, there's a couple that we did see develop. So this is not a complete shot across the board, but like Edge Cooper absolutely has developed over the last few years. Anaya Smith absolutely has developed over the last few years. Some guys on the line, I don't think, developed to what I thought they would be by now.
Because a lot of the guys on the line were so talented coming into college, And so you wanted to see that just otherworldly next step Myles Garrett type play. But maybe the offense held them back. Like, maybe. Could be.
Like, maybe we're going to see a different, because we have, for the last 6 quarters, we've seen a different offensive line.
Yeah, and I think hopefully that's the right trajectory, and we're heading in the right direction. And, with all the changes, things will look better, look smoother.
Let's do the KBTX big 3 I always laugh when I say it because it's so cheesy. The big 3 observations there from our friends at KBTX. You got 3?
I didn't really think of any, but I'm gonna think of some right now.
All right. You want Tyler to go first?
Oh, do you want to go first?
You got
this. Okay, I got this.
You already got the mic.
He doesn't have his either. So.
No, sure.
Jalen Henderson, obviously, number 1. I think as well as that, just the energy of the players. Elijah spoke on a little bit yesterday, but they took the news really well.
Yeah.
And I think that shows maturity, and I think that shows brotherhood, like Elijah was stressing. And then my 3rd, nothing to do with football, and in basketball.
All right, let's go.
Huge win on the road. That's a game they would have lost last year.
And they have one tonight, too.
too.
Big one with SMU.
Yeah, that was big for Indian basketball. I already mentioned Jared Kerr, but I'm going to mention Jared Kerr. Some of the young guys on this defense are really showing out. And then, of course, Edger and Cooper along with that.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with... I was going to say Jalen Henderson.
You can steal it.
But I'll go with...
How about Bobby Petrino?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah,
I don't think you guys liked it. I don't think the energy from you two was... the offense looked different.
The offense looked different. They are playing Mississippi State. But yes.
Do you not remember what this offense looked like against some of the other teams that were lesser opponents too?
You're right. The offense looked refreshing, and maybe some of that had to do with... I don't know how much of Jimbo was like, hey,
do what you want, Bobby.
Yeah, maybe that was it. And then third, I think that A&M is going to get the right coach. I think they've made the right moves. The timing is right. Elijah's the right guy right now, and they're going to find the right guy for this program. The transfer portal, if the timing is right with the new hire, transfer portal is going to work out in their favor. We're going to have a great 2024.
All right, last thing. Give me a realistic name that you think could be the next step. Realistic. Considering how much money they're spending on Jimbo and how much they're going to spend to have to get somebody. Yeah. A realistic name that could be the person. Do you have somebody?
I'll just say one that's been thrown out, Mike Elko. I think
yeah.
A&M could afford him. I think he has the experience in this program, and he's done some good stuff at Duke.
Good one.
Does Dan Lanning count as realistic?
Do you think?
I think it'd be hard to take him away from Oregon.
You have to go guns a-blazing at him. I mean, you have to throw everything at him to try. So if it's not him, an intriguing one, which I don't think they should, but Mike Norvell.
I like it.
I mean, I don't know. Do you do the Florida State thing twice?
Do they allow it to happen? That's the other question.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you very much, both of you. Appreciate you. All right, when we come back here on TexAgs Radio, we're going to do a little bit more with the Association of Former Students. It is Pass It Back Day, so we're going to continue to pass it back. We're going to have, let's see, who do we have? Well, we got Randy Reyes in the house and Kyle Easley. That and more here on TexAgs Radio. You better be passing it back. It's TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. It is Pass It Back Day. Got a couple guests here in studio. We got Randy Reyes, class of 01. He's been here several times. And Kyle Easley, class of 01 as well, director of campus programs. Welcome. How are you guys?
Thank you. Doing great. Thank you.
So I got to get into it. I was just told moments ago, this is really cool, that you were named after Kyle Field, right?
That's correct.
Tell me the story.
So I've got a class of 74 Aggie who brainwashed myself. I've got a brother named Brian. So
Okay.
he brainwashed us. I married a class of 03 Ag as well. She told me not to brainwash our kids and we were not going to do the normal brainwashing thing or abnormal brainwashing thing. Got pregnant with a little girl. Loved the name Anna. Couldn't figure out a middle name. And finally we landed on Anna Grace. And in the middle of the night, it dawned on me. Her initials were Ag. My last name is Easley, so we had little Ag E.
Yes.
Went on to have 2 boys, and then we had to continue the tradition. So Caleb's middle name is Olson. My wife and I met at an Aggie baseball game, and then third one.
Oh my gosh,
it was Jacob, so we went Jacob Reed. So
All
I've
right.
got all the A&M sports facilities covered. I think there's going to be a check sent to me for that, but so far haven't seen any of that.
I think my friends at KPTX need to turn this into a feature. This is an awesome story.
I'm happy
Terry.
to talk about brainwashing your kids.
So let's talk a little bit about what you do and the support that you get to see there as the director of campus and campus relations, and you also see what the Association of Former Students puts into action.
Right. So I'm relatively new to my job as the director of campus programs, but I'm class of 01. So I was gone here for 20 years. As a student, I got to take part in so many amazing things that as a student, you don't really think about who pays for it. And then you get out of college and realize that free stuff is not free. Free stuff was paid for by someone else. And in this case, all the things I got to take part in. I got to travel to Washington, D.C. with the Ross Volunteers for George Bush's inauguration and didn't pay a dime for it because older Ags were paying back and making sure that my experience was all that it should be as an Aggie. So now I get to be on the other side of that and see all the different organizations we support, students who get the fullness of the Aggie experience because old Ags choose to pay back and make that experience all that it should be.
Which is why today is so important to what you all do. Talk to me a little bit about the Student Century Club Challenge.
So we have 4 specific groups that we're sponsoring today. People can give a gift of $25. That sponsors their first year as a Century Club member. We are sponsoring the Ross Volunteers, the Singing Cadets, veteran Aggie students, and also Maroon Out. And so anybody who wants to give a gift of $25, it'll sponsor a student. Our goal for today is 500, but we have a matching gift of 250. So 250 students get sponsored. We'll have 500 sponsors total and get to invite some students to be part of the Century Club.
I love it. Randy, I know there's some other challenges that people are excited about.
For sure. I got to start with a class challenge. So I know Lexi, you were talking to her earlier.
Yeah.
She was pumping up the class of 17. Well, brought the 01 contingent here because we know that we're the best class.
Class of 01 needs to step it up.
So 01ers, if you're out there, tx.ag/pass-it-back-day. But we have the class challenge. We have some other ones as well, geographic challenge. So we have all the states we're trying to get a gift from all the states. I'll tell you this, typically toward the end of the night, we're looking at like Wyoming, North Dakota, some of those other states. And so Aggies, if you're out there, you know some Aggies across the country, encourage them to make a gift. I know Lexi touched on the Young Alumni Challenge. We also have an A&M Club Challenge. So there's several clubs that if their club gives the most, there'll be a matching, same with constituent networks. And so we like challenges. We want to make it fun. And so tx.ag/pass-it-back-day, you can find out about all the challenges.
All right, people around the world are doing this too, right?
That's right.
We'll get people from London.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And if you go on the website, there is a map. I think you've seen this before,
Yeah.
but as soon as those gifts come in, you see that little light pop up. It's really fun to see. But we do want to win that geographic thing. So it's important to try to get Aggies across the country.
What's the most, I don't want to say strange, that's not fair, but maybe the most like, oh, I didn't realize we had Aggies there.
Oh my gosh.
But there's Aggies everywhere.
You
so.
put me on the spot. Yeah, I don't know that I can recall, but
I'm sure there's an Aggie in Antarctica right now listening to the show.
We had a meeting Saturday and the Italy Aggie Club showed up. And
Okay.
So they're all over the place, all over the world.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what do you want people to do today? Because there's different challenges, but at the end of the day, there's different ways to be involved too. Like you can get your years back. There's many other.
For sure. Yeah, so we want to keep it simple. Number one, if you have the capacity and you can give, absolutely make a gift today. I know Lexi touched a little bit on even if you've made a first gift, we have the matching, the buy it back, your year bars. There's some other things, right? Second gift. So make a gift. Number two, encourage your friends, people in your network, encourage them to give, right? We've talked, you've heard a lot of the great stories, the great work that we do. And so it's just important that we share that. And then finally, throughout the day, we're putting a lot of content out on our social media channels. So if you see a story, if you see something, share it, spread the word. Again, this day is intended to show the power of the Aggie Network. And so that's what we're trying to do today.
considering where the football team is and the power of the 12th man and 103,000 against the Mississippi State, against Mississippi State, and you guys are still helping set up everything, you know, from yell practice to you name it. You guys put in tireless work, but this 12th man, this group of Aggies, this Aggie network, I should say, they never cease to amaze me, guys, right? And you see it firsthand.
For sure. And one distinction is we are supporting all the traditions, the students, the student organizations, right? The things that Aggies experience when they're on campus, just like he experiences a Ross.
$1 million to scholarships, $1 million to student organizations. So really anything on campus going on at the association, and Pass It Back Day has a big part of that.
And former students as well, right? All across the world, we're supporting those folks as well.
Remind us how to get involved.
So simple, tx.ag/passitbackday. Land on that, and there's all sorts of buttons and things that you can click on. We try to make it as easy as possible to try to make those gifts. But that's the page, or make it easier, AggieNetwork.com, and just you'll find your way there.
By the way, class of '99, let's do this, guys.
Yeah.
Let's get this.
Let's go, 01ers.
We need
You're
you
out there.
Thank you both for this. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
You got it. All right, coming back here on TexAgs Radio, Jordan Pugh is going to join us right after Jordan Pugh, Josh Pate, and then another hit from the Association of Former Students. That and much, much more. You're listening to TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. All right, we're back. TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. As a reminder, we have a coaching search subscription special, $89 now through kickoff. Over 9 months, 37% off your monthly rate, available this week only. New and previous subscribers only, not available for current subscribers, and cannot be combined with any other offers. Go to texags.com/special, all right? And we're going to be, obviously, on top of this head coaching search, and all of our staff members are going to be just providing a lot of coverage when it comes to that. So jump on this coaching search sub-special here on TexAgs Radio. Let's go to the Brian Foley Law Hotline. Jordan Pugh, we're going to keep it real here on the program. What's up, Jordan? Good morning, buddy.
Hey, man. How you doing?
I'm good. So, finally happened. I see that smile.
Yep.
Was it the right time?
Yeah. Look, I mean, there's no right time to fire anybody. You don't want anybody to lose their job. But at the end of the day, I think Ross said it best. The program stuck in neutral. Nothing was changing. It was the same book, same story. So, if you feel like you have to make the move, you have to make the move now. I think of course, the timeline as far as transfer portal window, signing day, all that stuff. So something had to be done. It is what it is. It's time to move on. It's exciting because there's something new that's coming in. So you have the potential of what it can be and what's coming forward. But other than that, man, you don't like to see people lose their jobs because it affects more than just the head coach. It affects everybody. So on that end, you don't like it. But overall, program-wise, moving forward, it was the best decision.
Were you surprised, though?
I was surprised. Yes, I was surprised it happened that fast. I would say, right after the last game of the season, I would anticipate that. But looking at the landscape now, understanding that you're trying to get a jump on candidates, you're trying to get a jump on recruiting, all that, man, you need time to look for people. I just think, man, you had to do something. So, I was surprised that it happened this early. Let's put it that way, this early. But overall, I'm not surprised that the firing happened.
Talking to Jordan Pugh here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. All right, they're all important, but where you are in the state of the program, what you have on campus, and what might leave, right? All those things. Talk about how important this hire is, also considering the amount of money you're still going to be paying Jimbo Fisher moving forward.
Well, all right, so everybody knows that this hire is very important, right? Every time you fire a coach, the next hire is important. The question is, what are you looking for? That's the question. As far as people leaving, look, I wouldn't be concerned about that if I'm the higher ups, if I'm the AD. That stuff happens, and if they leave, that tells me that you weren't dedicated in the first place. I know people don't want to hear that. I know people we have to keep the stuff, the players intact, which you do. But if you're out, you're out. That's part of the issue I see with the team anyway. Now, as far as the hire, when I say who do you bring in, you have big names that have been floating around, which everybody knows. You have the smaller coaches that are not prevalent in people's minds. I think you need somebody, man, who understands, like everybody says, program building, but what standard building is. Holding people to the standard. I think that a lot of the times that we brought coaches in, you guys have you have guys that have initially started off well. The recruiting has never really been an issue. We're getting players in. You look at a place like A&M, how fantastic it is, facility-wise, alumni base, all that good stuff. Who is going to be the person that holds this team, that holds everybody in that building to a certain standard and doesn't waver on that? I think that's what it is. Understanding the NIL landscape, understanding recruiting, understanding the state of Texas, understanding what this program is, all that is important. But who is the guy who doesn't waver, who doesn't shake with pressure, who understands how to get the best out of people? That's what I would be looking for. I don't necessarily care for the big name. That's nice. That's cool. We've done that before. But who is that guy that can hold people to that standard? That's what I think we need to look for. You also need to look for somebody, too, as well, that's going to shake some things up. I think, this may not be a popular opinion, but I think that we've gotten so caught up in our tradition sometimes that it affects what we do within the building, how we hire, versus getting guys who will get wins. And I think if we can accept that, and if we can shake a few things up here and there and find that guy, man, I think you're walking into a gold mine. You're walking into a team that's ready to compete right now. So I think, man, there's a lot of options, but being able to zero in on those certain aspects, I think is key.
Is there a name that intrigues you most, or maybe a couple names?
I mean, from the fan standpoint, Urban Meyer. Who else out there has the resume like Urban Meyer? Who else has the cachet like Urban Meyer? Who else can come in and demand a certain way of doing things like Urban Meyer? He's the one who's got 3 national championships. He's won every single place he's been at in college. Let's take NFL out. In college, he has won everywhere. That's intriguing. The Dan Lanning, of course, I think would be a good move if we can pluck him. He's young, somebody who can be here for a long time, somebody who understands the SEC, somebody who understands winning culture. All that's good and dandy, but I'm even intrigued with like the Jeff Trailers of the world. The guys that not very popular, but guys who have built something from nothing. I like that. So we talked about like Drinkwitz in Missouri, who's building something with nothing. Those type of guys intrigue me because you have a certain 1-2, a certain drive. You understand that the standard and the culture is everything, especially in the situations that they're in. And then you add on the resources to what they've already built and what they're doing. I think, man, you're dealing with something that could explode. So those type of guys intrigue me, man. Those are the names right now. Of course, more come out, but who is the leader? That's what I'm looking for. Who is the leader? And hearing our AD's press conference, that's what I heard in that press conference. I heard that he wasn't. I heard in his voice that the leadership was lacking to him. Somebody that wasn't innovative, somebody that wasn't willing to adapt. That's what I heard, and I think that's what he's looking for moving forward.
Jordan, you mentioned Traylor, and I'm intrigued by him as well.
Yep.
I hate that I use other examples as to scare me, but I do. Like I think of Billy Napier, who built something, right, and now is in the SEC, and does he have enough time? Like I don't think this program has got 3 more years to wait of more building. I feel like you've got to go do it. I'm not saying maybe Traylor's the guy. I'm not saying he's not. I don't know, but that's my fear. And I'll find fear with everybody. My fear with Urban Meyer would be like, well, is he going to do something to embarrass the university?
Yep.
And is he also going to like get tired or whatever happens to him when he can't coach anymore? I'm getting sick. I got to stop. Mike Elko, he hasn't done it long enough at Duke, but I'm super intrigued by him because of his ties here, and he knows how to coach up and get his defense ready. So, I think that we're such an interesting place for A&M because if you get the right hire, it's all here, man.
Hey, I think, let's put it like this. I think the coaching search is open to every single coach that's available to be hired. When you look at A&M, every coach is looking at Texas A&M as a gold mine. It's a ticking time bomb. It's ready to explode. And you're looking at the talent that's on the roster. Even if guys leave, you got backups who are ready to go and compete right now. What you need is a guy, like I told you, who's a leader, but a guy who will develop. I think a lot of the problem that we have with A&M or under Jimbo was the lack of development. What I mean by that is really taking guys and capping out their ability. I don't think we did that extremely well. Who is that guy? You look at like a Lance Leipold at Kansas. Look at what he has done with Kansas. Those guys are competing with everybody. They're in every single game. He's building something. I also think, too, you have everything in place. You have the facilities, you have the players, you have all that. Who is the guy who can cast the vision and get everybody on board with that vision? I think that's a lot of what we need, too. Everything is here. Everybody knows what we have. You're in the state of Texas. You're sitting in the heartbeat of the recruiting country. It's set up and it's there. I know everybody would want to have a coach fast, but I think they need to take their time. I think they really need to vet who the right guy is that can run this program, because if they get it right, you're talking about years upon years of just success. So, I think it's important. It's exciting, but we'll see.
Jordan, they played different on Saturday, didn't they? Like there was just something about the way the team played, not just the result, not just the beatdown, but like offense looked better, defense looked better, line looked better outside of the opening kickoff return where I was like, oh my God, here we go again. Outside of that, they looked different.
I watched the game and I was irritated watching the game. So here's why I was irritated. First thing, our quarterback, Henderson. First thing I said was that guy's been sitting on the bench the entire time. The offense looked completely different. So Petrino, against Mississippi State, it looked like Petrino was calling the plays for this offense. What do I mean by that? It looked like there wasn't a lot of Jimbo influence on this offense. When I watched the offense against Mississippi State, what I saw was Lamar Jackson at Louisville. That's what I saw. It was wide open. It was exciting. It was a lot of zone concepts. It was a lot of misdirection type concepts. And it's amazing what happens when you have a guy with the mobility like that, how much it affects the defense. They were playing free. They were wide open. It's almost like the players knew, hey, man, we're about to go out here and handle business because we know what we've done all week as far as game plan-wise, but who's at their quarterback position. Now, going to the quarterback position, I thought, I've told you all year, I think Max is good. I thought if Connor never got hurt, I thought he'd be in the Heisman race. But looking at Henderson and everything, all the weapons he possessed, I said, how in God's name was he not playing above Max? There's no way. You can't explain it to me. I don't care what argument you make. It was a night and day difference in that offense. Completely different. So that's the part that frustrated me. If I was Ross looking at that, that was probably I know they made the decision on Thursday, but looking at that even more, it's like there's no way we have all that. That looked like we maxed out what we had as a team. We maxed out our athletic ability. We maxed out on defense, maxed out on offense, and everything came together, and that's what it's supposed to be. That's what it's supposed to look like. So that's where the frustration came. Overall, I was excited. I'm like, that's the team that can go out and beat anybody. But I'm irritated at the fact that it came this late in the year. That's the problem. That's what's bothering me, knowing that we had that available the entire time.
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you, man, I got a little bit of optimism to close out the season that I didn't have. I'm not saying that today I'm predicting A&M to beat LSU. We'll see as we get closer to that game. But because the offense looked the way it did, and because the guy up front, I'm talking about Elijah Robinson, is not Jimbo Fisher, I feel like maybe some different buttons are going to be pushed, and maybe Bobby's going to be able to cook a little differently than he was before. Maybe even DJ Durkin, who was in charge of the defense, maybe it'll look a little different. Maybe. It's all maybe, but I can at least hope for that.
The question that you asked me a few weeks ago is what would this season look like finishing out? Can we finish 9-3, 8-4? With that football team that I saw on Saturday, there's no reason we shouldn't win out. If we get that football team that I saw on Saturday, LSU doesn't stand a chance. They don't stand a chance with us because that's what people have been dying to see is that. That's what A&M football should look like. It was exciting. I left the game being like, dang, yes, that's what we're supposed to do. Defense was all over the place, forcing turnovers, interceptions. I mean, it was night and day. But with that, no reason we shouldn't absolutely slaughter ACU, and then we should beat LSU with that rolling into the bowl game. I just think, man, if we can find somebody, and any coach who does their deep dive on A&M, any coach who saw that game goes, man, I'm walking into something big. I just think, man, there's new hope, there's new optimism now. But, man, you need a forward-thinking guy and a guy who understands where this program is, but what they can be and where they should be. And that's the exciting part.
Talking to Jordan Pugh here on TexAgs Radio. Jordan, people are asking about Schumann, the defensive coordinator there at Georgia. I don't know if you've done any research on him or not, but he's one of those hot names that, and I know he shared some duties, obviously, with Will Muschamp there. But he's one of these names, 33 years old, young, up-and-coming. Would you be okay with a young up-and-comer?
Yeah, that stuff doesn't matter to me. Who is the guy that invokes leadership? Who's the guy that you want to follow? Okay? So it's almost like this. I grew up a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, so you're looking at Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin was not on anybody's radar. There was a suggestion from somebody for the Steelers to hire Tomlin. He got in that room, the Pittsburgh Steelers said, that's the guy. Because you just know there's a certain aura, there's a certain presence that you feel. That's what I'm looking for in the hire. So if that means that he's the guy, then let's roll with it. It's not a lack of resources. It's not a lack of talent. It's who is the guy who is the leader and who can invoke the vision and get the people to follow. That's what it is. And man, I just think this is going to be a wide open deal. I think people need to understand across the country that coaches are vying for a position like this, for a school like this, where the fan base is all in, the resources are all there. You need to take your time and really find that special person.
Jordan, why has it not worked at A&M? Like, if you were to guess, like, different types of coaches, you know, Summy was that guy. He had the swagger. He had Johnny to start. But other than that, you know, it didn't work out to what we thought. Jimbo came in with the credentials, and it felt like once he lost it, he lost it. I mean, there's been several guys. Mike Sherman came in with the NFL experience. Fran was a hot name. Like, why has it not worked?
Man, that's the $1 million question. You know, I don't know. I don't know. The recruiting has been there. I mean, everything has been there. I just think at the end of the day, okay, I'll say it because I don't think it's going to be a popular opinion. I think at the end of the day, we get caught up in our own sauce too much. That's what I think. There was something that Ross did at the very beginning of the press conference. He sat down and he said something, and it struck my nerve. He goes, around here we say howdy. Now, that's very true, but that's also the problem. The problem is that sometimes you get so stuck in a certain way of thinking that I think that it forces the coaches to switch from what they know is best, or there are certain pressures of we have to do certain things like this. You need a coach in here that does not care about certain aspects of Texas A&M because I'm trying to move the program forward.
Wasn't that Summy, though?
You don't need, huh?
Wasn't that Summy?
To an extent. But the problem was he had experience coaching here. Okay, so he kind of knew what he was getting himself into. You need somebody with certain credentials who can demand certain things, but also they understand the culture. They understand what Texas A&M is about. I'm not saying throw away traditions and all that. That's the last thing I'm saying. But you need somebody in here that knows how to get to the promised land. And if people can't get on board with that, he has to be okay with being the outcast for a period of time until that success is reached, until that promised land is reached. That's what I think has been holding us back. I just think that, man, sometimes you get caught up in your ways, you get caught up in your tradition, you're not willing to see things differently, and we keep getting the same result. And if anybody who's on the type of board to read this or leadership is listening to that, I hope you hear what I'm saying. Because nothing has changed from the Fran to the Sherman to someone to Jimbo. It's been the exact same thing year after year, time after time. And until you're willing to do something different, until you're willing to open up more ideas, more aspects of what can move the program forward, you're going to get the same result. So I hope that leadership heard what I said. I hope that they're open to new ideas, and I hope that they're not that they're willing to not get away with just forcing tradition, but alter tradition a little bit, create something new. I think that will help this program a lot.
That is Jordan Pugh there on the hotline, on the Brian Foley Law hotline. Jordan, we appreciate you, sir. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Take care. Jordan Pugh there on the hotline. All right, let's do this. We'll hit a break. When we come back, we're going to have a guy by the name of Josh Pate. Pate State material. We're going to have him here on the program and get his thoughts. I know he's talked a little bit about it. Let's press him on some ideas out there. Before we do that, let's talk about Heritage Films. They're a great company that does documentary films about families, right? So, and they can do a documentary film about anything that's important to you, right? They certainly can. But one of the things that I love about Heritage Films is you come in with an idea. Look, I want to honor my father, who moved to this country, who did this, who did that. I want to honor my grandfather. I want to honor this group of guys that we get together every Friday night and we play dominoes together, and it's just what we do. It's our tradition. Can you tell the story? Can you do it in a documentary, Netflix, HBO style? Chance McClain can do that. He's been doing it for a long time. He did a story on my pops. He's also done the Year Flicks for my daughter Annalise. Year Flicks is an awesome thing that Chance McClain does that is basically a benchmark video that 20 minutes tells the story of kids, right? So freshman year to sophomore year to junior year, right? Their likes, their dislikes, all in a documentary form, fun, and that's what Chance does. The most creative guy I know. The website is yourheritagefilm.com. Yourheritagefilm.com, 713-893-8341, 713-893-8341. We're back, TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Our next guest, probably our most popular. Like when we talk about getting Josh on the show, people go crazy. Also, one of the nicest guys in the business. In a business with people who are not like talkative, this dude will talk to you in a press box, on the sidelines. He'll answer your tweets. He's great. Josh Pate joining us here on the Brian Foley Law Hotline. Josh, what's up, man?
What else do we have to do, David? It's not like we're working 4 other side jobs. This is kind of it. It's never made sense to me not to talk about this. You know what? I have found, you and I have talked about this privately before. I have found that not everyone who covers college football loves college football. Somehow that's a reality. And those are the ones who don't tend to be talkative. You don't have to worry about that with either of us, though.
What I love about you is that you're, and I try to do this, you're unapologetically you, right? You got to take, that's what, you don't cater. You tell people the way you see it. And you've had a vision for A&M football that you have maintained, and you've stayed with it. And I love that you present your case and you stick with it. And then if you want to alter it, you give your reasons for altering it. So where are you on the state of A&M's football program, considering financially what they committed to Jimbo and what's ahead, and maybe the potential candidates out there?
Yeah, so let's just set this entire scene. I have thought for a long time that A&M is one of the best jobs in the country. Okay, as you guys know, you're experiencing this right now. You cannot have a rational conversation with a vast majority of the college football public about this because they don't possess the ability to distinguish the difference between program and job. And so even the ones who try to, I have found, end up on some kind of backwards logical island of, well, maybe A&M's got a lot of money, but that doesn't make it a good job. Yes, it does. It absolutely does. The only difference between the big boys out there who have great programs, elite programs, and A&M is not that A&M possesses the money, but not the know-how. They possess the money, which is the name of the game in this sport, and they haven't made the right hire. I grew up in Georgia. So for a long time, I mean, my entire adolescence and young adulthood in Georgia, they said that about Georgia. They said, well, yeah, they've got a lot of money up there, but Georgia doesn't know how to win. They don't know how to have a top program. So maybe it's a good, it's a rich program, but it's not ever going to be a top tier job. Well, then they hired Kirby, and nothing about the past mattered. They hired Kirby Smart, and it didn't matter that the last title they had won was before I was born. He started winning, and then he won one, and then he won another one, and they're in contention to win a third. All of a sudden, those people disappeared. And my contention is, what if A&M had hired Kirby Smart? Like, what if he was there? I have no doubt, I'm talking zero doubt, that they'd be doing the exact same thing in College Station that they are in Athens. There is no limitation there. So anyway, I've been having this argument ad nauseum with people all over the country. And I can't believe it's an argument. There are some things I say sometimes that I will grant you are a little out there, even if I do believe them. This is not out there. To me, it's out there, or it's radical to suggest the A&M job is not one of the best in the country. I've yet to hear any kind of remotely convincing argument to the contrary. So where's the program? The program is at a place where they've got talent acquisition figured out as one of the best recruiters in the country. Resource-wise, of course, all the boxes are checked. It is a turnkey winner. The moment you get the right guy in there, it won't take 3 years. It's not an FSU rebuild. It is a let's get to work immediately, and maybe 1 year if you need cultural overturn or you got a guy that needs to get his guys on the roster. It is pedal to the floor. I think immediate contender for the right guy. That is as good an opportunity, as good a landing spot as you could ever have this side of what Kirby actually inherited at Georgia. Because that was a sweet landing that he had there. Ryan Day inherited a great situation. Whoever gets A&M is right on par with that.
Josh, is it fair to say that Jimbo was the right guy until he wasn't?
It would be hypocritical for me to say no, because I thought the hire was good at the time. I praised the hire. I'm not a big believer in, praising something and then, when it doesn't work, trashing it, because an AD doesn't get to do that. An AD makes the hire and has to live with the hire. Same reason I don't question play calling a lot. Everybody's a genius after the play happens about what was supposed to be called. So yeah, it may be right. And I've been over on the TexAgs boards, and I've seen some folks say, well, this decision should have been made 1 year ago or 2 years ago. Well, 2 years ago, that would be ludicrous. Even 1 year ago, I just don't think it's reasonable to have said that. In a no consequence environment, yeah, you can do it. It's like Xbox. You can just press reset and start over. That's not the world we live in. So yeah, I celebrated the hire when it happened. It ran its course. I think also, David, we're not nearly at this point, but at Clemson, maybe they're approaching having this conversation too. Now, granted, he won 2 titles at Clemson, whereas Jimbo didn't win one, but there was a way of doing things that was very advantageous in the mid-20 teens that is not so advantageous now. It's an apples to oranges because Dabo's problems are not necessarily Jimbo's problems and vice versa. But the key overarching point remains the same. There was an inability or unwillingness to change, and I'm speaking past tense at A&M because Jimbo's gone. There is that presently to a certain extent at Clemson. Maybe we're watching that play rinse and repeat itself a couple of 100 miles over to the east. So it's not a theme that was born at Texas A&M. We've seen that before. We'll see it again elsewhere in college football. So that may be an accurate way to categorize it.
As an Aggie, I feel like there's no-brainer out there, right? Because you thought you had the no-brainer with Summy, and because I thought he was a great hire when they hired him, and he had an amazing start. I thought you had a no-brainer with Jimbo, and I still was holding on to what Jimbo was up until, I don't know, sometime around the App State game, I started doubting, but like it was definitely this season where I certainly got off the train. So like, who is the guy? Like if money is an obstacle, it is because of what you have to pay for Jimbo. But like, is there a guy that you're like, man, you put that guy there outside of Nick Saban and Kirby Smart, like that will make this program a national championship caliber team?
No, there's not the surefire guy. Lanning would be that. I don't think Lanning's coming there. I have a way of looking at coaches where I don't just look at the potential reward. You have to look at the potential risk. It is one of the absolute blind spots in this entire kind of season of coaching hires. Everybody gets drunk on the reward, and you just totally turn your back on the risk. Lanning's a high risk, low reward guy, but I think he's staying at Oregon. That's my thought, at least. So I look elsewhere. You cannot, to me at least, you cannot have a guy like John Summerall at Troy in the conversation. He doesn't have enough mileage, doesn't have enough experience. He is a guy down the road that I think will be a rock star head coach for someone. Glenn Schumann at Georgia is a guy who only knows the Bama way and the Georgia way, the Saban way, the Kirby way, but I think there are things about him that set himself apart from those two. In other words, he takes what he got from them, but he applies it to the unique version of himself. I think down the road, he'll be a rock star head coach. But I spoke to you before, and I'll say it again. I don't think you have to take large risk at a place like Texas A&M. You don't have. Mississippi State has to do that. Arkansas has to do that. A&M doesn't have to do that. So I go find a guy who's done it before, who's proven it as a major head coach. And you're right. When you look out there across the landscape, there is not that. And you can tell me, I don't know how much traction the West Coast guys have gotten, like Smith or DeBoer or Fish or anyone like that. Those are total blind spots for me. I don't know any of those guys personally, and I don't know how they would acclimate to the SEC way of doing things. They're quality football coaches, obviously, but it takes a lot more than that to succeed in this profession, in this conference. So I don't know where that slam dunk candidate is. That's why even if you print money, it is not as easy as it sounds well, let's just go hire a top coach and win. Well, everybody tries to do that, man. It's not that easy.
How important in your eyes is it to get somebody in here soon, though, because of the talent that you do have? And you said you might be able to win next year or the year after, but in this new world of college football, people can be gone, and you got to have somebody that inspires kids to stay, inspires a recruiting class that's top 10 right now to stay with this with their pledge to A&M.
It's important. It's not imperative, but it is important. Down the road, you probably can't tell me the day on the calendar that Kirby Smart took the job at Georgia. Like, no one remembers that because he built a winner. So it doesn't matter if you waited till February. Like, if you wanted an NFL coach, it doesn't matter in the long run, as long as you get it right. I'd much rather hire the right guy in January than the wrong guy in December, in other words. So yeah, short term, it does matter. But also, we know another thing. We know that there are ways post-December to construct a roster on the fly that didn't used to be available to us. So it's not the end of the world if you don't have a guy in place by early signing day or beyond. I mean, we can do a lot of things in the sport we didn't used to be able to do, in other words.
Talking to Josh Pate here on TexAgs Radio. Josh, what do you make of the way they played Saturday? And I know they're playing Mississippi State, but that was a different performance, the way they went about their business. And I know I think you were at the Penn State-Michigan game, right? Am I right about that? But just the fact that they played so free on offense and they played differently even on defense. Like the whole thing felt like Jimbo had already been removed and he had no clue.
That was what I was surprised by. That game reeked of a game that's played consequence-free. I mean, that's like you act on the last day of school. If you're a senior, you just throw caution to the wind. There's no concern about ramifications. Like, what are they going to do to me at this point? That's absolutely how that felt. That's why if I didn't know better, I would swear, oh, he must have been told Friday, hey, this is what's happening. And he said, all right, well, we're going to go out the way we're going to want to go out then. Apparently that wasn't the case. So I don't know, but I will say this. There was I guess a line of thinking out there that this makes A&M look bad because why would you fire a coach after he wins by half 100 or something like that? I think it makes him look good because it reinforces the idea that they're resolute in their decision no matter what. And I know good and well you guys have to have talked about that thing at LSU a couple of years ago, but nationally I think people have forgotten they waffled on Orgeron and let themselves get backed into a corner and gave him a shot to beat A&M actually and get carried off the field and whatnot. And he was totally sure this was his last game. Well, then they keep him around. It happened with Miles, it happened with Orgeron, and they keep him around 1 year too long. A&M was not going to let that happen. And I think that makes him look good because you fire a guy after a win, it just proves we weren't beholden to the whims of every 4 quarters changing our minds.
Along the same lines, how important is it in your eyes to finish out this season with a bunch of wins, beating LSU with, a TBD at coach and winning a bowl game and having 9 wins considering all the changes? Does that even matter in today's college football with so much changing parts moving forward?
Long term. So let me answer this twofold. If I'm an A&M fan, you better believe it matters because every game matters. We only get 12 of them a year. Like it's a college football game. Yeah, they all matter. There's a reason. There's a history. There's a juice between A&M and LSU. It doesn't matter if I'm on the sidelines. But in the grand scheme of things, no, it does not matter because it's like, you can go all the way back to when Bama hired Saban. Like they fired Mike Shula. They're on an interim basis. They're losing to like Oklahoma State. I don't even think they made a bowl game the year before. And none of that really mattered. They went and got Nick Saban. And even in Saban's first year, David, they go 7-6. They lose to UL Monroe. No one cares about that. As long as you're in the process of getting it right. Like there's another misconception out there in sports. And that is if you're watching on the screen, people think success just looks like this. And it's not like that. It's like this right here. It's like a steady climb through turbulence. Plane goes up, plane go down, up, down, but it's tracking in the right direction. And so if you're in the process of hiring the right guy and you lose by 30 to LSU in the process with an interim, it sucks that day. But 2 years from now, if come November, A&M's number 3 in the college football playoff rankings, no one cares about what happened at the end of 2023.
No doubt about that. Do you think Jimbo's going to coach again?
I would have to know if he has the drive to, because I think there's going to be a time where he gets a little taste of this media world, like Mullen's getting right now, and realizes how sweet it is and how you're always right in this line of work. And I don't know. Like I could see it again. I don't know if it would be major college football, but I mean, certainly if a G5 caliber program wanted a head coach with experience, yeah, I could easily see that. But how much will he want it? Like, people say, well, if I had that kind of money, I'd never coach again. Money's not the motivating factor for a lot of these guys. If it was, they'd retire tomorrow. They're already financially set. It's not for 99% of coaches I talk to, they care about how much they make, but it is not what fuels them. What fuels them is competition. And the one thing that would get him back on the sidelines is he ended his career in failure. He ended being fired like most guys are. And how much does that eat at you? Because if it does, it doesn't matter if you got 15 figures in your bank account. You're going to coach again if you get the shot.
Last thing for you. I don't think they're going to consider Lane Kiffin, but would you consider Lane Kiffin at Texas A&M?
I wouldn't, because I don't think I need to take any kind of risk. Look, let me rephrase that. There are some things some people care about that I don't care about that are going to be an issue if you try and hire Kiffin, just his past in general. I don't know how much that would matter to the A&M folks, but I will say, if you just care about putting quality product on the field, Kiffin has figured some things out now. If you look at some of the more advanced metrics, he's doing things they shouldn't really be doing at Ole Miss. I think they figured out NIL a little ahead of the curve. And they've done it because they have to be creative there, whereas you don't have to as much at A&M. I mean, you can play the game at the head table. I don't know if I would. I don't think they will. I don't know. I would be probably 60-40 any given day on that. It would depend on the other candidates that I knew I could have a shot at in the room.
Josh, I appreciate you, man. I owe you a phone call for not radio just to check in on stuff, but thanks so much for making some time.
I appreciate it, David.
Take care, bud. That is Josh Pate on the Brian Foley Law Hotline. Appreciate his time and his great content. All right, let's hit a break. We're going to come back. We'll get into some stats quickly and some other things you got to get into, plus the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. That and more. You're listening to TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Ethan Jones in studio. He usually has our stats from the game, but we're going to try to mix it up a little bit. Jimbo's tenure / game in the next 5 minutes. Ethan.
Yeah.
Take it
So
away.
obviously Jimbo was fired. Here are a couple stats that kind of show the reasons why he was fired. He was 7-16 in true road games. And if you take out 2020, which was like all the low capacity stadium games, he was 3-15. That's kind of just unacceptable to be 7-16.
Say that again. I want that to marinate.
7-16 in true road games over his whole tenure. You take out 2020 when all the stadiums were 25% capacity, 3-15.
So that is a huge bit of information, even though I count 2020 because I choose to. I can choose whatever I want. Just like I count the Rockets championships in the mid-90s. I choose to pick it, but I do think it does tell part of the story, a big part of the story.
Yeah, another stat that really shows why he got fired. He had 4 or more losses in 5 out of his 6 seasons. The only exception was, again, in 2020 when they went 9-1. But we can't have 4 or more losses repeatedly with the money we have in this program. Also, when you compare his tenure to Sumlin, he doesn't look much better. Win percentage, 64.3% for Jimbo Fisher. Kevin Sumlin, 66.2%. SEC win-loss record, 27-21 for Jimbo Fisher, 25-23 for Kevin Sumlin. Top 25 win-loss record, 10-15 for Jimbo. Kevin Sumlin, 12-15. Top 10 win-loss record, 5-10 for Jimbo, 4-8 for Kevin Sumlin. So he wasn't better than Kevin Sumlin, and he was paid more than Kevin Sumlin.
Before 21, he was definitely on path to being better than
He was. It was just these last 2 years, 2022 and 2023, he went downhill. Another stat is Texas A&M had a 64.3% winning percentage during the Jimbo Fisher tenure. That's the 4th best win percentage in the SEC, which is pretty good. But the teams above him, Alabama with an 89.9 win percentage, Georgia with an 89.7 winning percentage, and LSU with a 70.7 winning percentage. Those are the teams you got to do better than if you want to win the SEC. And we were just not on that tier. Instead, we were on the tier with Kentucky, who had a 63 win percentage, and Florida, who had a 62.2 win percentage. So that's not the kind of tier you want to be on. You want to be on the tier with LSU, Georgia, Alabama.
Yep, absolutely. All right, you got some Mississippi State game stats for us?
I do. In the Mississippi State game, this was like the first game where we had the offense play amazing and the defense play amazing in an SEC game. We forced 4 turnovers. This is the most turnovers A&M has forced in a game since forcing 4 turnovers against Alabama in 2022. Including this game, Texas A&M has only forced 4 more turnovers 7 times since they joined the SEC. So it's just a rarity for us to force a lot of turnovers, so that was really good. Also, we had 5 sacks, 7 tackles for loss. We held Mississippi State to 237 yards. Mississippi State had 23.1% third down conversion rate. So just really great defensive performance. Also, offense was great. Great running performance. We had 11 rushes of 10 or more yards before this. And then before this game, the most we had was 6 rushes of 10 or more yards. Also, we beat Mississippi State by a 41-point margin. This is the largest margin of victory for A&M against the SEC team since they beat South Carolina, 48-3 in 2020.
Great stuff, Ethan. Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center quickly. Get a text or 2 in there from Luke Evangelist. Luke?
Yep, the text line has been popping today, as the young folks would say. I've got one from Wyoming that said, "Hey, David, I hope we don't rush this decision because we are worried about the current players, transfer portal, and recruits. We need to make the right decision for the next 5 to 10 years at the expense of 1 month."
Agree. But I don't know if like when we say rush, it's like just picking, I'll take him. Like, I think the process is going to be the process, right? I think you need to speed it up, right? But not speed it up to where you miss out on a candidate. But if you identify the candidates, you take the time that it takes to interview those guys and see if they're the right fit. But to me, speeding it up doesn't necessarily mean just, all right, look, this guy's not available right now because he's coaching, but I really like him. But I'm going to pick from this group. Like, you don't want to do that, right? You know, when you buy a shirt that's not on sale, but you're told it's going to be on sale on the weekends. I haven't bought a shirt in 20 years, but you know what I'm saying, right? Like, when something's on sale, you wait for it to be on sale, and then you take it. Coaching, if you need to wait for the right guy, you wait. If it's not the right guy, you pick from your group. Luke, one more.
Tony in Lexington said, "I couldn't agree more with Jordan Pugh. Gets A&M should be way down the list of priorities."
Say that last part again.
Like getting A&M, like the culture.
But I do want a guy who gets us. I do. I want a guy who's going to win, right? Like, if you don't get us and you win, like Lane doesn't get us, right? Which is why I don't think he's the right fit. But somebody who does get us and is a phenomenal coach, I don't want to narrow the talent pool either just because of that. But this is a special place, and if you don't recognize, I think people who want to come here want to come here because it is a special place and because they know that they can win here. That's why. That is why they recruit the way they do. This recruiting staff, this team right now, this program recruits on the Aggie network, meaning something. So I do think it has to be a part of the DNA. Let's hit a break. We'll come back with the Association of Former Students and also a little bit more on the future of Texas A&M. It's TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. All right, we're back. TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. Pass It Back Day. Our friends from the Association of Former Students are here. Allison Siebert, class of 2011, a VP with the association. Mary Grace McQuillan. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
Yes, that's correct.
Welcome. Thank you all for coming in.
Thanks, David, for having us.
So I got to know your story because Randy was telling me at the break, you've got the association has really impacted you.
Yeah, so grew up in Boston, Massachusetts. Didn't have anyone in my family who went to A&M. Knew nothing about this college. Actually went to school at Loyola University of New Orleans. And when I was there, I actually had to evacuate in my senior year of college. So thinking, being a senior, thinking I had everything figured out. And then Hurricane Katrina was coming down in the fall of 2005. So I actually evacuated to Brownsville, Texas. First place I had ever been in Texas. Came there with a bunch of friends. Thought we were going to be there for a week and heading back to New Orleans. And then realizing, like a lot of others in New Orleans, that we weren't going to go back. So my friend told me about Texas A&M. I had no clue what this university was about, and was driving up 77, cross 21 to go to A&M for that semester. So A&M took me in that semester during Hurricane Katrina. School shut down.
Yeah.
I had a duffel bag full of clothes. Didn't know anything about College Station, and was just loved by so many Aggies. Thinking about walking into Student Computing Center and sign up for classes. again, my senior year and having to experience that, and just felt so much appreciated by someone that I had really nothing to offer. Came here for that semester, and I got a scholarship from the Association of Former Students. They had given up and stepped up to help other people who were here at that semester. Again, out of the goodness of their heart, and knew how we were affected by Hurricane Katrina, and just fell in love with the school. And then came and worked at A&M for several years before coming over to the Association of Former Students.
What a cool story, yeah. That's amazing. You both are part of the fundraising team, and I know there's a couple things you wanted to touch on. As we come to a close here of the show, it's not over. Like, this is all day for you all. It's 24 hours of giving, so take it away, Mary Grace.
Yeah, we will be there until midnight. Our phones are open until 5 p.m. today. You can go to tx.ag/passitbackday and buy back any missing year bars. You can sponsor a current student, or you can just renew your Century Club membership. Any dollar is amazing. We are so grateful for all these donors and the impact that we can make on Texas Aggies and current students.
Allison, there's a why to help, and it goes many different areas. Give me a little bit more on the impact that these dollars go.
Yeah, we give about a $13 million impact on Texas Aggies and Texas A&M. All that goes to support academics, scholarships, traditions. We support former students around the world through our A&M clubs. We help with class reunions. We have constituent networks, all about engaging former students as they go on throughout the world. We have career services we provide for both current and former students. So that $13 million impact is touching every Aggie. Whether you are a former student or not, or a current student, we have so many things going on at the association where we're engaging thousands of people every year. So the impact is tremendous throughout the entire Aggie network.
How about the call center? Call in and talk to some Aggies about being an Aggie, right?
Yeah. So we have about 30 students calling right now. They've been calling since 10 a.m. They'll call all the way up through 9 p.m. These are current students, and they want to hear about your Aggie story. They want to know why you love Texas A&M, and they want to share your story as well. They love hearing from former students, so even if you're not going to make a gift, but want to engage with some good Aggies so they can share their story and why they love this university and why they're so grateful to have the support from the Aggie Network.
Let's reset the website, too, if you want to be a part of it, tx.ag/passitbackday. And I think a big part that people sometimes forget, you can buy back some years. So let's make sure we do that, right?
Yes. And it's 50% off, so you do get a discount on any level that you want to do.
That's fantastic. Thank you both for coming in.
Yeah, thanks, David, for having us.
Appreciate you. And class of 99 is going to be taking it, just saying. That's what we do. All right, that's going to do it for TexAgs Radio here on a Tuesday. Tomorrow, a loaded show. I don't remember who's on the show, but trust me, it'll be good. I do think we're going to have the head coach there, Coach Patterson from ACU. So we'll have that and John Harris and more. Thanks so much for watching and listening. We'll see you mañana.